Well, good morning or good evening in the case of the Oceania F1 Invitational. Welcome back, everybody, to the OFI. We are back for now, our final frontier, the final week of competition, and we've got 2 more circuits to bring you in order to round off this event. Already the championship getting rather spicy. We'll get into that in a moment. First and foremost, my name is George Morgan, as always, but this time a new face alongside me. It's none other than Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you, sir? Yeah, let's take a little look back as well as to where we've been and where we are set to go, obviously, in this championship. Oh, I believe we've actually lost your audio, I think, Nathan. We'll bring you back in a second. But yeah, here is the calendar that we have in front of us. Of course, we've already been to Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. We've been to the Netherlands as well, Italy. And of course, if we want to go through some of the winners as well, Gregory Prisbill taking the first 2 of the championship. But he has been in ripe podium form. He went on to take victory back at Bahrain along with the fastest lap after taking pole position. A clean sweep at Bahrain set the tone. He then went on the front row at qualifying at Jeddah and then managed to promote himself from P2 to P1, taking his second victory. He would then go on to take 3rd place at Zandvoort, just dropping down a place though because he started on the front row again on that occasion, so qualifies well. He also qualified 3rd fastest last time out at Monza, clinching a P2. So a clean sweep podium record. No one else has that record so far this season. The closest driver to that is Oscar King, who is, of course, a driver who won last time out. He's coming off the back of 2 back-to-back wins back at Zandvoort and then followed it up with a pole to victory at the Autodromo International di Monza. So yeah, fabulous championship run so far. There's only 9 points between Gregory Prisbill and Oscar King as it stands. Very, very tight, very, very fast and furious it's going to be tonight as well. Definitely when we factor in the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. It's going to be very, very interesting, that's for sure. In the meantime, Nathan, I think I have you back now. Just give us your thoughts. Obviously, stepping in tonight, obviously Mexico is next on our list. It's going to be tight.
Yeah. It will. I mean, you know, we've got Mexico and then, of course, Las Vegas to end it off. 2 tracks have lots of straight line speed, lots of DRS zones. So a lot of it's going to be about being strategic, knowing when to pass and when to stay behind the driver ahead. So it's going to be a very interesting race. I mean, strategy on tyres as well is also very important, making sure that you get that undercut or overcut right, and especially for Oscar and Gregory, who are fighting for that championship. So yeah, I mean, Las Vegas, a lot more chaotic than Mexico, so at least this race they can settle in a bit more before they head to Las Vegas, which will be rather interesting, I'm safe to say.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's going to be very interesting, folks. Can't wait to see where this one goes. In the meantime, I think it'll be ideal for us to hear from Oscar King, who's given us a little bit of a track guide around the Mexico City circuit. Take a look at this.
Welcome to my demo lap for round 5 OFI at Mexico. Super keen for this event, the last event of the series on this game at Mexico and Vegas. We've got this super long run down to turn 1, trying to spot our braking point just under the little crane there outside the edges of the track. We want to turn 2 a little bit better than that. We'll be looking to get that in the qualifying session. We don't quite get it there, and that's why we're down on the delta here. And now heading into this middle sector, as all of this track is super technical, really have to be accurate with our entry speed, and getting on the throttle out of corners. We've got this double apex, which we use the track quite well there and gain time. Super committed into the S section. You just have to be to gain the optimum time, and then really accurate, try not to scrub any speed here. And now we head into the stadium. There's so much grip on this game at this track, unlike previous games. It's really a blast around here. Yeah, we opt for a later downshift in the hairpin in the stadium, which seems to work for us here. Probably won't go for that in the qualifying session tonight. But yeah, here's our lap. I hope that gives a pretty good view of what our drivers are going to be looking to do tonight. And yeah, hope I get pole. See you later.
Hope he gets pole, see you later. Well, last time he managed to get pole, didn't he, folks, back at Monza? And I would say there's some vague similarities between the Monza circuit and the Mexico City circuit, given some of the long straights and the tight corners as well. You know, whilst obviously Monza has its chicanes, that might be the only difference. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez has its 90-degree rights and lefts. Obviously still a challenge nonetheless. Nathan, I would say that this is right up Oscar King's alley.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing about this track is, which makes it so interesting for us, is the lap times are quite short. You know, there's not that many corners when you can compare it to other circuits. So, you know, it does make that qualifying really interesting, and we do tend to see a few surprise upsets going out of Q1 and Q2, because you've got to make sure that you don't lose that half a tenth, or you don't lose that, in some cases, 20 thousandths of a second, because sometimes that can be the difference between 2 or 3 positions, which can drop you down into the elimination zone. So the drivers have got to make sure that on their laps they get the perfect runs so they can give themselves an advantage and hopefully get into the final part of quali.
Absolutely right. Well, looking ahead, obviously, after Mexico, we take a trip to Vegas. We're staying on the American continent. At this stage, just to give you guys a points breakdown, really, only 9, as I said before, between Gregory Prisbill and Oscar King. King looking to be crowned, but first and foremost needs to get himself past his Veloce Academy teammate, Gregory Prisbill. Both of them in different cars, though. Of course, Prisbill driving the Ferrari. We have got Oscar King in the Red Bull. Though, watch out for a few others. Campbell Adams, also another driver to watch. He's just behind Riley McKay in that top 3. It's a Veloce Academy clean sweep at the top of the championship so far. But Campbell Adams, someone who is always proven to be quick, also carries a decent podium record. Last 2 races he's finished in the podium positions, also taking a fastest lap back at Zandvoort. Just not being classified back at Jeddah has hurt his form to a certain degree, but it's great to hear. We do have Jack Humphreys back tonight as well. I must say, a long servant for the Oceania region, and someone who has been part of the league racing fold for such a long time. Once upon a time, you would have definitely placed him in the window for a potential F1 esports drive. He is simply that good. Comes in off the back of 0 practice at this Mexico City circuit. How's that going to affect him, Nathan?
I mean, it's going to be one of those where maybe that first qualifying session he's going to spend a bit of time adjusting to the track, getting to know the track. I mean, Mexico's been on the game for how many years? He knows the track off by heart, but of course it's a different game in, you know, to 23, 22, so he's going to have to make sure that he can get the car to drive right around this track. Once he's sorted that out, it should be a lot more comfortable, and of course in the race it's a lot easier to manage the pace and not have to push too hard. So of course DRS trains, it's going to be easy for him just to tuck in behind and cruise himself to whatever position that he finishes in. But we haven't got long to go before we head our way into Q1, and I would suspect it's going to be dry. I've never seen wet Mexico before, so there we are, it's dry as expected, and give it a couple of minutes and we'll have the cars out on track. Yeah,
won't be too long. If you guys want to see exactly what's going on at Mexico, we can actually show you. Take a look at this. There is the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. The timer now ticking down. The drivers in their pit boxes, and already some activity as we get things underway. Oscar King, the first to venture out onto the track representing the Red Bull team. Obviously no Tide affiliations here. It's all about the drivers. As we now watch King make his way out onto the circuit, obviously looking to head out and really give his, well, give everything, really. I mean, he's got a great chance to take the lead of the championship, so I'm sure he'll be looking to do that. He's got a good chance. We've got a few other cars now venturing their way out, including a Visa Cash App RB that is making it. Could either be Plebs. In fact, it will be Plebs. Oh, no, it could be Reese Fisher as well, who's also had a good bout of form in recent times. It's all to play for. 16 minutes and 50. How will they strategize this, Nathan?
I mean, normally I'd expect to see many of them go out on the intermediates, but only one of them so far has gone out on a set of the inters, that being Reese Fisher. Everybody else, Gregory, Riley and Oscar, have all gone out on a set of the softs. So different drivers taking those different strategies here at the start of Q1. And I mean, even though Oscar and Gregory are right at the top and fighting for that championship, there's no reason why anyone else can't jump in and try and take a victory or take a big podium. So that's something that Oscar and Gregory have got to bear in mind, that other drivers will be there for the taking and will also be trying to fight for those victories and podiums. And I mean, there might also be other people that might just be within contention, but just difficult for them to try and take that championship. So that, you know, they've got to make sure that they can get a good qualifying result here and just make it safely out of Q1 and Q2 and get into that top 10 fight.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting indeed. Q1 now in full swing. The drivers making their way around on their initial, should we say, initial laps, just to sort of get the tyres up to temperature, and then they will send it around this Mexico City circuit. Oscar King certainly not leaving anything out on the track just well. You will be leaving it out on the track. He's going to be giving absolutely everything. DRS now open here for the Aussie. They're all Aussies here, of course, in this series in the OFI Championship. As we now watch him head down through towards turn 1. Hurtling now in towards the first apex. Lovely and smooth coming into the S's Moises Solana down the Transera. As we now watch them head down in towards the next left at SA de Largo. Still Oscar King, as I said before, all important to clinch a big result here. It could turn the face of the championship, and he'll be hoping to try and fight for it on the final day, when of course we do head to Vegas for the last race of the season. Coming through the slalom, through the S's, and then a trip down towards Rector del Avalo awaits. Let's see what Oscar King can deliver as he now makes his way in towards the stadium section. Forasol comes up after Avalo. He's got a little bit of traffic in front, but it shouldn't cause any issues. And don't worry about that tyre smoke either. That doesn't necessarily mean they're locking up. Just an effect of the game as we now watch as King makes his way around the final corner. He'll set the first lap on the board. 1:13.314 to kick us off. Riley McKay, I'm sure, will be coming up later on as well. He's making his way through the stadium section. We've got Gregory Prisbill out on track. He's about to cross the line. He will go faster than Oscar King. So a grand display once more from the Veloce Academy group as Riley McKay also joins his fellow teammates. It's 1, 2 and 3 here so far. Prisbill, McKay, King and MJ Roller crosses the line into fourth fastest.
Of course, and all of those three there within half a tenth of a second, so very close between our top three at the moment, as there's still a few more cars looking to cross the line. We've got Big Man Ray heading into the pit lane, then we've got a McLaren, that'll be Ryan Hunter. We'll see what lap time Ryan can set as he heads into the Peril Tardanelle, of course, in the McLaren. His teammate's still in the pits. What will it be here for Ryan Hunter? It's going to be a 13.802. Jumps up into P4 temporarily, as we do have ACW as well on the intermediates crossing the line, goes into P6. What about Yusuf Go? On a set of the soft tyres, of course, in the Red Bull, teammates of Oscar King. Going to be heading up to the line now. Should be within the 13s. It'll be a 13.908 and jumps up into P5.
Yeah, good start for all those involved. Obviously, Gregory Prisbill now with a 1:13.273 up at the top, with Riley McKay on a 1:13.291. Mere fragments between them at this stage. If you want an exact number, it's approximately 18 thousandths of the realm, which is absolutely unbelievable. That is certainly the statement or the illustration of how close this grid is going to be. We've got Jack Humphreys also making his way around on an outlap. Like I said, someone who is almost, I would say, associated with the growth of Aussie racing. Has competed in the mainline league racing scene, obviously part of the fold that has competed in the realms of challenges, etc. He is a driver that packs a lot of potential, but also a lot of heritage in the league racing environment, and now looking to lay down his first laps onto the board. Down the long straight he will go before then venturing in towards S's Moises Solana. Let's see if he can keep it tight. Obviously, he's on those soft tyres again, not messing about with the intermediates. He's going to go straight out and send it.
We'll see what Jack Humphreys can do. I mean, you know, he's one of those drivers that, due to obviously being in a lot of European leagues on the Australian internet and the servers, you know, it makes it difficult sometimes for him to race in those leagues, hence why, we haven't been able to see the best of him in the past year or so. But of course, he can show all his talent here in the Oceania International as he heads his way now through into turn number 7 at the S's section here, of course, also part of the TES team, who are a very competitive team here in the F1 scene, as he heads his way now down towards the stadium section. Of course, a little bit of DRS into this next braking zone for the right-hander. Very good job so far here by Jack Humphrey. Should easily jump into that top 4 and just probably be a little bit ahead there of Ryan Hunter. There is a gap there between Oscar and Ryan, just over or just under half a second there. So I reckon Jack will jump in somewhere around there.
Yeah, well, moves up to 5th fastest, so good lap there for Jack Humphreys. Don't forget as well, folks, if you want to get involved in our next level racing giveaway, we have of course been running it consistently as Campbell Adams goes fastest. So after losing out at Monza, he was tussling with the Veloce Academy trio. He managed to bring home a podium at the end of it all, but this time looking to flex his muscles right at the top. Great display from Campbell Adams in the Mercedes. We've got Big Man Ree as well further back, who's making his way through the S's. But like I said, if you want to get involved in our next level racing giveaway here at the Oceania F1 Invitational, use hashtag NXTLVL. That's next level, basically abbreviated, hashtag NXTLVL, and you can enter into our next level racing giveaway competition. We've been running it every round so far through the course of this championship. We'll run it at Vegas as well, but remember, it's one entry per person, so you only need to enter it once. Big Manry goes 8th fastest straight away.
Definitely. It's good to see everybody in the chat there getting involved into the giveaways. We do have, though, a few more cars on a lap there. I think it was Big Man who just set a time. We got Karma F1 here in the Mercedes looking to try and set a lap time as well. Of course, his teammate is Campbell Adams, and he's currently sitting at the top by just under 2.5 tenths of a second. A brilliant lap there from Campbell Adams, and we'll see what Karma F1 can do to try and close in and be within a few positions of his Mercedes teammate. I mean, that top 4 always going to be difficult to try and be within a couple of tenths of lows, but there's definitely a few drivers that have that in the bag as Karma now exits the final corner to the line, a 13.920, and jumps in just behind Yusuf Goat in P8 with a 13.920 as now. We've seen a few cars a little bit at the back, looking to set, I think, their first lap times there. We've got Plevs, Reese Fisher, Lindsay Muddle, and Al Karudin, who haven't actually been out yet on a set of the soft tyres.
Yeah, obviously Reese Fisher, someone who's had a little bit of misfortune thrown his way as well through the course of this season. No less, I would say the most prominent one was back at Zandvoort, where he wasn't classified. Obviously never ideal. Oscar King retiring from the session, as is Prisbill and McKay. They obviously feel that they are safe at this moment in time. Reese Fisher will be hoping that he can put himself into a position of safety as well. Currently sat 14th fastest. Remember, we're going to lose the bottom trio. So as it stands, Potato, Lindsay Muddle and Al Karudin will be out of qualifying should they remain where they are. But bear in mind, they have yet to set their first laps. Should they set representative laps, then it would be ACW 132 at the back of the field. As it stands, though, he is currently out and about on another lap as it stands. Reese Fisher, we'll run on board with him because, of course, like I said, another driver you'd expect to feature inside the top 10 on a regular basis, and he has certainly shown in the past that he can do that. Head back to Bahrain, he finished in 6th place, and he was one step away from the podium in Jeddah, finishing 4th after starting P9. This is a driver that can race hard.
Definitely, and Reese Fisher will be here looking to hunt for a podium or maybe even a win here around Mexico as he heads his way through the S's section now and down to the stadium. Of course, wants to get that decent banker lap in and hopefully put himself into a position where he can retire and not worry about going out again, as we do see there Al Karudin going up into P5 there, a 13.547. Nice there for the McLaren. What can Reese Fisher do now as he heads his way into the Peril Tarda? Tucks it nicely to the inside as he heads to the line. Will be in the low 13s. No, it won't. It'll be a 13.992. Just behind there, Karma F1, and probably isn't that safe, as we do have many of the cars looking to set their first laps as Lindsay Muddle is headed into the final sector.
Yeah, just breaking into that top 10, Reese Fisher, and currently that's all you need to do, especially in Q1 form. Really, after that, Q2 is where you need to really panic, because that's when you need to really get into the top 10. And then when you are in that top 10, it's all about the pole shootout. So Q2 is where the whole game changes. But good start for Reese Fisher. Top 10 for now is still more than enough, should it remain like this. But obviously there are still laps to be had, still delta defined. Plebs, Trent Newton, as I say that, Trent Newton moves up into 6th fastest. So a great lap from him to go 6th fastest. Brilliant stuff from the Kick Sauber. Just in behind, splits the 2 McLarens. Hunter now down in 7th, with Al Karud in remaining in 5th place. Still a few others to cross the line. MJ Roller goes into 15th fastest as well. We got Potato now moving across the line, and he moves into 13th fastest. So as we predicted, ACW 132 at the very bottom of the order, with Lindsay Muddle in 17th and MJ Roller now in 16th. So should it stay like this, those 3 will be eliminated at the end of Q1.
Of course, and I mean, the end of this session now is going to be very, very interesting, because P9, Jack Humphreys, down to P15 of Plebs, is separated by just under 0.3 of a second. That isn't much at all. So all these cars certainly need to go again and try and get themselves back up into that top 15 to make their way through into Q2. Of course, MJ Roller just in that elimination zone by a couple of tenths, so has to find a bit of time here to jump up into that top 15, but I'm sure that they will be able to. Of course, ACW hasn't set a representative lap yet on the soft tyres. That lap was set on the intermediate, so still haven't been, we haven't been able to see what ACW can do here on a set of the soft tyres as he heads his way now down towards turn 1 in the Kick Sabre. Of course, his teammate up in P6 of Trent Newton. A very good job so far by Trent, and also Yusuf Goat as well, who just jumped up into P7 there for Red Bull, and will look to try and easily set his way through into Q2 and then hopefully into Q3. But I've got to say, George, looking at the gap so far, once we get into Q2, that's going to be a right little battle to see who's going to make that top 10.
That midfield, I think, is going to be the closest, I think, out of anything. And that will make, I think, place extra emphasis, really, on the results of Q2. I think it's going to be extraordinarily tight. I think in this initial, obviously, here in Q1 is where we are going to only miss, say, 3. But then when we head into Q2, that is where we eliminate 5. So that is where the big challenge is going to come into play. And I would say, effectively, you've got P5, the only positions that you're going to really be able to get hold of, certainly based on the quality of the 4 drivers we have at the very top. I'd say it's between P5 and P10 for safety, I think, heading out of Q2. So, that's a very fine margin. So it's basically 5 get in, 5 go out, is my theory heading into Q2. So it's going to be exceptionally close.
Indeed, an MJ Roller was on an improvement, but unfortunately had an invalidation, so has to go back into the pits, or choose to go again. A bit of a slide as MJ heads back into the pits, and luckily has enough time to strap on a new set of soft tyres and go once again, as we do have ACW here going very early on this final run, looking to try and set their first soft lap time on the board as he heads down towards turn number 4, and of course finding a big improvement there by 0.8 of a second, and surely we'll find another couple of seconds in this middle sector through turn 6 down towards turn 7 at the S's section. Here, of course, ACW would certainly like to make their way through into Q2, and only has to fight, he's got to find 3 seconds, but he hasn't actually set a representative lap, but only has to find 3 positions here. He is up by 2.5 seconds in this middle sector, so if he takes his final sector cleanly, should easily jump himself up into the top 15, George.
Yeah, coming through now the final portions of this track. ACW looking to land a bigger blow this time onto the board, and surely he's going to sweep that 17.290 under the rug and will go 9th fastest. So that's 2 Kick Saubers inside the top 10. A great lap from ACW, but he's slightly out of sync. We've got drivers making their way out for their final runs. Yusuf Goat, he retires. That's it from him. He will not be setting another lap prior to the end of quali, though he is relatively safe, I would say. He's inside that top 10 by a good 3 spots. 7th place against his name. It's going to be a big, big, big moment if we lose him at this very late stage. He would need everyone else to improve just below him. But Karma F1 is going to be the next driver to come across the line to set that valid lap time. More and more cars coming out of the pits as well. Ryan Hunter has just headed out on his outlap. Al Karud in, also on an outlap as well. Not forgetting Potato 101, AMS Checkered, Plebs as well, Lindsay Muddle. 2 of those in the bottom end of the order and currently facing elimination. Plebs and Lindsay Muddle need a big lap here, Nathan.
They certainly do. I mean, look at the gap there between Plebs and Checkered. It's 30 thousandths of a second. That's between being in Q2 and going out here in Q1, as we do see Karma F1 here up by a 10th. In that middle sector here for the Mercedes team, of course, teammate Campbell Adams right at the top here. So, of course, I don't reckon we'll see Karma F1 anywhere near his teammate, but easily could jump into the top 10 here for the Mercedes team as he heads up to the line now. What will it be for Karma F1? Up into P7 there with a 13.6. We do see ACW back into the pit lane, and I think then the next one to cross the line will be Jack Humphreys, currently in P11 here on a 13.889. Should also be safe here going into Q2, but you never know because he's only around 2/10 ahead of Plebs in P16.
Yeah, final moments now. 1 minute left, near enough on the clock here in Q1. Plebs in P16 looking to lift himself out of the elimination zone, as is Lindsay Muddle, but he will be the first to cross the line, will Plebs, as he now makes his way around the final corner at the Peraltada and now up towards the line. Now, what's it going to be for Plebs? It's P12, it's safety for now, but it could all change yet as Lindsay Muddle now looks to join him. A 10th of a second up already on his best lap, now nearly 3/10 up. This is a good lap here from Lindsay Muddle, who now flies through the stadium section. Can he dig deep here through the final few corners in the Haas Ferrari-powered car as he flies around the Peraltada himself? Can he light things up? Can he ascend higher? Making his way towards the line just about enough to save himself from elimination, but there are 2 Haas cars on the bubble.
Yep, there certainly are, as we do see here, Potato F1 heading in towards the final couple of corners now. In the Aston Martin, he's up as well on his previous time. Only needs to find about 40 thousandths of a second. Can he make his way to Q2? Yes, he can. P13. That drops one of the Hasses into the drop zone. That being Big Man now, who's trying to get through and get another lap on the board, of course, here, up by a 10th in that middle sector. As we do see Ryan Hunter there go up into P5, as we do see Checkered go up into P16. Can't make his way into Q2. Can Big Man make his way out into Q2? Yes, he can. And that knocks Lindsay Muddle into the drop zone. 70 thousandths, George, separating P15 and P16 here.
Yeah, it's getting very, very tight indeed. And already now we're seeing a few as their MJ Roller crashing into the barrier on crossing the line. He is not provided enough to get out of Q1 here in qualifying. Our 3 have been decided. Lindsay Muddle just losing out right at the very end, and we're losing Checkered as well as MJ Roller. So it's 2 Alpines and a Haas that will be evicted here in qualifying. The top 15 stand as they are, and I must say, what a performance once more from the Veloce Academy group. Obviously, Gregory Prisbill, Oscar King, Riley McKay, but also hat tip to Campbell Adams. An absolutely fabulous, fabulous effort. And his lap actually very nearly, just over in fact, 2 1/4 tenths quicker than Gregory Prisbill. That is absolutely extraordinary. Well done him. Gregory Prisbill in second. We got Riley McKay in third. Oscar King in fourth. Ryan Hunter and Al Karud in for the McLarens, also moving through in Ps5 and 6. Williams is Jack Humphreys in 7th. Trent Newton getting through after his clutch lap, moving up to 8th fastest. Karma F1 in 9th place. Yusuf Goat in 10th. ACW, who was off, or certainly at the back of the grid, also making his way through as well. Didn't get to see the rest of those results, but we will, of course, catch up with them a little later. A massive, massive qualifying session. Some last-ditch laps that really came to the furore. I'm looking at the likes of Reese Fisher, who was right in that drop zone late on as well, Nathan. Someone you wouldn't necessarily expect to see in that drop zone, but he fought his way out. Same could be said for various drivers in this grid. Just goes to show it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, definitely not. So, if you're in that bottom 5, heading into the final runs, there's more than an opportunity for you to get yourselves into that top 10 and make your way through into Q3. And I mean, I think Campbell Adams could be the one here to upset the Veloce Academy party in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Of course, taking that fastest lap by 2.5 tenths of a second near enough. A very, very big statement there by Campbell Adams, who shows, even though he can't really win the championship, he's still going to be here to fight for those victories, as many cars go out quite early here at the start of Q2, and that midfield battle is very, very close now. I think it was P5 then to remain P13. It was only 0.4 of a second. So we could have some big upsets going out of Q2, going into Q3, and some of the, some of the underdogs, some of the surprise names making their way into Q3 as well, just because they got that perfect lap when the others in that midfield couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely spot on indeed. Already now we're seeing the cars make their way out onto the track. Oscar King currently sat at the very top of the order. He'll be hoping that remains the same. Obviously heading into the last stage of this Mexico Grand Prix race that we have here to bring you in the OFI. But there are various other drivers who I think have a great chance here in this case. Just a little reminder for those of you who haven't probably done so yet. Remember, we've got the Next Level Racing giveaway currently in full swing. Remember, obviously one entry per race. Obviously every race so far, every round in the OFI, we've been running this giveaway where you at home can put an entry in per round, per race into the pool, and then hopefully your name gets drawn at the very tail end of the event. So if you want to get involved, use hashtag NXTLVL in the live chat and you can enter into the Next Level Racing giveaway. Of course, we've got a fantastic prize that Next Level Racing have provided the OFI going forward, and we do appreciate their support as always. So big thank you to everybody for getting involved. But yes, Q2 now in full swing, 12 minutes and 45, a reduced time allocation now as we move our way through the course of qualifying. So higher precedence to get a good lap on the board, Nathan.
Yep, certainly you haven't got as much time there to kind of make those mistakes and think, you know what, we'll go back in the pits and we'll go again. You've only got 12 minutes, so, you can't really be affording to keep making those mistakes and making mistakes again. You've got to make sure that if you do go on a lap, you've got to get it right, and you've at least got to set something on the board, even if it is not the quickest lap. As we do see here, Plebs heading through that middle sector now in the Visa Cash App, looking to try and set a decent banker lap here. A 55.3 will be that first and second sector split here, so looking decent so far here for Plebs as he heads his way through the stadium section now into the Peraltada at the final corner, and we'll see what the first lap time will be here for the RB as he heads to the line now. Will be a 13.996, and I think next across the line will be his teammate Reese Fisher, set to 114.370, and I have a feeling that a few cars will be on a set of the used tyres, as we do see Riley McKay go quickest there with a 13.242, and already Veloce Academy showing some dominance in this session.
Yeah, flexing those muscles once more. Obviously we've seen quite a few of them performing at the very highest end of the order. That's been a consistent theme right through the course of this championship. Gregory Prisbill now goes fastest and breaks into the 112s for the first time here in Q2. Oscar King looks to join him, not quite. Third fastest, 113.487. And I would say that's a possible illustration right there, Nathan. You've got Gregory Prisbill on a 112.932, quite the gulf in gap between Prisbill and McKay. McKay perhaps on used tyres, Prisbill on fresh ones.
Yeah, I think that's possibly the case. A very nice lap indeed, either way, though, by Gregory into the 112s there with the 932. And I'm sure that Campbell Adams will get right up there as well, along with Oscar King once they go back out again and go on to a new set of the soft tyres. You can see 5 tenths there between Oscar and Gregory. Definitely, I think it's safe to say that Oscar's on a set of the used tyres, either that or Oscar just made a big mistake on his runners. We do see now Campbell Adams here in the Mercedes heading down towards turn 4 with that DRS now. We'll see what he can set in the first sector. Will be 28.033 there, so a decent first sector, but I also think he might be on a set of the used tyres, as we do see there, that being, I think, KCW jumping up into the top 6.
Yeah, ACW moving up into that top 6 battle, just ahead of Plebs after setting a 113.791. Campbell Adams coming through the S's section and will now head down towards the final sector of this circuit. He's in fact registered a purple time coming out of Sector 2, so looking really strong as it stands, but it's all about what you do in Sector 3 as well that counts. Hits the bollard and removes it as it rolls away. As we now watch Campbell Adams as he makes his way around the Peraltada. Can he ascend to the top? Not quite. Just barely away from the 112s, just behind Gregory Prisbill, who still holds the top time with a 112.932, the only 112 of the session, but Campbell Adams topping the 113, so the 113.123, which is over a tenth quicker than Riley McKay in third place.
Yeah, and I think that shows even more how good of a lap time that was there from Gregory Prejabo in that top spot there with a 9.32. As we do have many other cars as well on 8 laps here. We've got Trent Newton, Al Karudin, we've got Plebs as well. Back out once again here on a set of the soft tyres. And we'll see here what Al Karudin can do here in the McLaren now. Heading down towards turn 1, of course, I think it was P5 or P6 in that last session alongside his teammate Ryan Hunter. So the two McLarens looking to be the best of the rest here in this session so far. P5 down once as Al Karudin heads into the braking zone at turn 1, gets the car turned in nicely, of course, hopping the curb through turn 2, doing the exact same through turn 3. Should run a little bit wide on the exit now with that DRS heading down towards turn 4 as you end that first sector. What will it be here for Al Karudin? A 28.049, and I believe that's only around 10,000 slower than what Campbell Adams managed in that first sector here. So this is looking like a really good lap for Al Karudin as he heads his way now down towards turn 7 and begins the S's section. Have to just get the car thrown in, carry as much minimum speed through as possible. And believe it or not, George, this is one of the sectors where you might not think it, but you can gain so much time by just carrying a little bit more speed on that initial entry.
Yeah, it's where precision really counts, really, doesn't it? I mean, Al Karudin, we hit that curb there probably a little bit harder than he would have liked as well. Kind of unsettled the car, and that will cost him a little bit of time. So everything that he might have gained through the S's, it might have come to an abrupt halt coming through the final sector as we now watch him make his way towards the line. That's fifth fastest, though, nonetheless, from Al Karudin, who has already notched together a podium under his belt already this season. In fact, back at Jeddah it was, where he finished third. He qualified sixth fastest, and once again showing that pace here, this time at Mexico City.
Yeah, and was only, what, half a tenth off Oscar King, so that just showed that, you know, some of these drivers can catch up to Valachi Academy and can get within a tenth or even half a tenth here in Al Karudin's case. As we do see, though, a few more cars looking to set a lap time here with 7 minutes to go. Trent Newton heading into the final corner. His teammate currently P8 on the brink of elimination. Where can Trent go? Up to the line will be a 13.784. Jumps just ahead of his teammate there by 11 thousandths of a second there with a 13.784. We'll see as well what can Plevs do, currently on a 13.9. So we'll certainly be looking to try and find an improvement here as he heads his way through the final corner now. We'll be in the 13s, a 13.734, jumps up into P6 ahead of Jack Humphries. That's a brilliant lap there by Plebs, but Jack is up by a tenth alone in that first sector here, so Jack Humphries could be on for a barnstorming lap here.
He could well be. We also saw Potato moving up to sixth fastest with his very own 1:13.599 of the session. Al Karudin coming into the pits. Jack Humphries now making his way through the right-hander at Rector Della Valle, and now it through the hairpin at Forest Sol, and then into the next right now. He'll look to dance around the Peraltada. Can he launch himself higher inside this top 10? Can he rise? He can! Fourth fastest here, 1:13.479, and a good 2.5 tenths between, maybe just under 2.5 tenths, in fact, between he and Riley McKay. But a great lap from Jack Humphries to place him higher than Oscar King and Al Karudin, who have now been relegated to 5th and 6th respectfully.
As we do see here, Oscar King, though, up by a tenth in that middle sector here, so looking to try and jump up into P3 ahead of Ryan McKay. Heads to the final corner. What can Oscar King do? Jumps up into third with a 13.133 into third place, doing a good job so far. And I reckon we're in a similar situation again where the top four could probably afford to just retire here, but Riley McKay's going to go out again here, currently on a 13.242, but no one into the 12s just yet. So that just shows how much of a good lap that was there by Gregory Prejabo, as we do see Yusuf Goat going up into P7 there ahead of Potato, who's been relegated to P8, and Reese Fisher here, I think, going back into the pitch, yes. So he's definitely on a slow lap, as we do see, I think, Ryan Hunter there jumping up into P6 in the McLaren, and Karma F1, I think, will be the next one to cross the line here, unless he's heading back into the pits here.
Yeah, many of them coming back into the pits this time. Obviously, at this stage, it's Ryan Hunter who's up to sixth fastest now. Once again, the McLaren's manacled together. We saw it before as well. Al Karudin just behind his fellow Papaya teammate. ACW once again out of sync as well to a degree, making his way around on his outlap this time with 4 minutes and 30, but this time he's not alone because Campbell Adams and Riley McKay are doing exactly the same thing.
Yep, They certainly are. But I mean, the good thing here for Campbell and Riley is they know that even without setting another lap, they probably will make it through into Q3. So they haven't got that much pressure on their shoulders. And sometimes when you haven't got that pressure, you can perform a little bit better here. So we might see some brilliant laps just because they know they haven't got to fight to get their way out of Q2 and that they can just do it easily without setting another lap. As we do see Jack Humphries retiring in the pits, thinks that a 13.479 is safe enough. I presume it will be, but then again, you know, he's only 3/10 ahead of Trent Newton in P13, so still could be a bit of a battle here for Jack Humphries as Riley McKay already letting off, heading out of turn 3. I think had a bit of a snap, bit of a slide, and has to drop out of that lap as Campbell Adams now heads down to turn 4. Is going to continue on this run, and we'll see if he can find an improvement in that first sector. Doesn't, he's down by 23 thousandths, but then again, that first sector isn't always representative of your paces. It's only really 3 corners.
Yeah, I mean, some drivers do like to lift off and do an additional out lap or an additional run just to burn off a little bit of extra fuel. It's very precise thinking put in place from time to time. Now, whether that is what Riley McKay's done, I don't know, but Campbell Adams, we're right on board with him anyway, because he's heading into the stadium section. He's not lifting off at all. He's going to look to try and land a big time to break in to the 112s for the very first time. And this is all about making a statement. This will mean nothing in Q2, but it could mean everything in Q3. Makes a bit of an oversteer mistake coming out of the stadium section, bails straight into the pits. Now, will he have enough time for one more run? No, retires from the session, as does Jack Humphries. So I think many of them are going to decide to come straight back in. Riley McKay, though, he's going to do another lap.
Yeah, as we do see here, ACW going very slow on this lap, so I think going for an extra 8 lap here on the soft tyres to burn a bit more fuel, and go again, as we've got just under 2.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Karma F1 back out onto circuit here in the Mercedes and many other cars as well, just heading their way out for their final laps here in this session. Surprisingly, Gregory Prejibble goes out again, currently in P1 with a 12.9, easily through into Q3. Decides to go once again, as we do see now ACW on a representative run, heading down to turn 1. We'll see what the Kicksaber can do. Currently P14, only needs to find around a 10.5 to get his way into the top 10.
Yeah, well, great start, obviously, for many. Not so good for others, but opportunities for everybody, with now every single driver that are still in the session out on track. We've got Prisbal, King, Karudin, Yusuf Goat, Potato, Fisher, Plevs, Big Manry, and Trent Newton, as well as Karma F1, all out on out laps. ACW out of sync, has got to try and weave his way through this circuit whilst all these drivers are out on out laps in order to try and register a lap to ensure his safety. Let's see whether he can do that. Of course, he's making his way through the S's now. 1 minute and 17 to go here in this session. He's got his teammate just in front now, Trent Newton, just making his way through towards Rector Delavallo and in towards the Forresol. As now ACW goes past him and will look to register his final time on the board here, his final fastest time, you'd fathom, to try and break out of the bottom 5 as he looks to get these final runs in full swing. He goes 9th fastest, just ahead of Potato, but there's still plenty more to come.
There certainly is here. I think ACW probably is still at a little bit of risk here in this session. Only around a 10th clear of Reese Fisher in P11, who should surely be making his way into that top 10. As we do see Karma F1 in P15 with a 13.830, looking to find some big improvements here on this final run, heading down towards the stadium section. That middle sector here, what will it be? He's up by around 2/10. It's going to be close whether this is enough to get Karma F1 through into the next part of qualifying, heading through now into the stadium section, then into the Peril Tarda at the final couple of corners here. Let's see, will it be a Q2 exit here for Karma F1, or can he make his way into Q3, into the top 10 by 1,000th of a second? Very close, but surely he's going to be under a lot of pressure here, heading into the final couple of minutes of quali.
Yeah, improvements as well for Al Karudin, who goes 5th fastest in the immediate. We've got more cars now about to cross the line too. Trent Newton coming through the final corners alike. We've got more coming through as well. Riley McKay currently remaining 4th fastest. Gregory Prisbal crosses the line, remains at the top. Only driver in the 112s. Trent Newton goes into P9. So that's the 2 Kick Sabers on the bottom stages of the top 10. What about Reese Fisher? He comes up towards the line, relegates ACW. Karma also relegated as well. Potato and Plebs both out. It's all down to Big Man Rye, who's going to look to lift himself out of Q2. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Big Man Rye goes into 8th fastest and relegates Reese Fisher into the elimination zone. And that is all she wrote, folks. That is all she wrote. Karma F1 still making his way around the circuit. He is not improving on his time. Reese Fisher, ACW, Karma F1, Potato and Plebs are all out of Q2.
But look at those gaps there. P7 to P14. Not even a tenth there between Ryan Hunter and Potato 101. So it was one of those where any of those cars could have gone out, and brilliant. A really good ending there to Q2, and really does show how strong and how competitive that midfield are, as we do see Trent Newton and Reese Fisher separated by just over 10 1,000ths of a second. And unfortunately, Reese Fisher was the one who was on the backhand, and unfortunately is going to be out and not making his way through into Q3. But we look at that midfield, we've got a brilliant fight from P5 down to P10, and then that battle there between P1 and P4 will also be quite hectic. Heading into Q3, and we'll see who can take pole. Any of the top 4 can, but it's like just pulling a name out of a hat between those 4, because you never know who's going to have that perfect lap.
Yeah, you just never know. You simply never know. Gregory Prisball, though, with the perfect lap here in qualifying 2. The only driver in the 112s. That is a phenomenal statement, just within 0.2 of a second. Campbell Adams 2nd, Oscar King 3rd, Riley McKay 4th, Al Crudin in 5th, Jack Humphries 6th, Ryan Hunter in 7th, Big Man Rye 8th, 9th for Yusuf Goat, Trent Newton, what a phenomenal session from him too, 10th fastest. Reese Fisher, ACW, Karma F1, Potato 101 and Plebs are all eliminated here in qualifying. So there we go. That is all she wrote from Q2, folks. It is getting spicy out there. I think we can all agree. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Q3 brings. It's going to be fast and furious. Remember, a lower allocated time for the final session of qualifying. It's going to be a spicy one. Plenty of the big names you'd expect to see in the Oceania region. Still, the Veloce Academy hopefuls currently sat towards the top end of the order. But I have to say, once more, I'm impressed with Campbell Adams as well, Nathan. Proving once more that he's put the hoodoos of Monza behind him. He came close to a victory back then. This time, it could be his. He has every chance here to really come out on top against the Veloce Academy trio. Yeah,
certainly. I think, for me, Campbell Adams probably looks to be in the best position, but, the margins between those top 4 either way, the thousandths, hundredths of a second. But if you had to pick one person, George, who would you pick to take that pole position here in Mexico?
Well, it's tight, but if you go off pole records, Riley McKay has got arguably the best one-lap speed. If you look back at Jeddah, Zandvoort, back-to-back pole positions. Gregory Prisball, of course, taking pole back in the first round at Bahrain. But then I wouldn't want to write off Oscar King either. At the moment, the poles have all been shared between the entirety of Veloce Academy so far that are involved in this series. I want Campbell Adams to break the trend, to be quite honest with you.
Maybe Jack Humphries, you never know. He's been getting quicker as the sessions have got through, of course, is nearly 8 in Q1. Got into Q2 quite safely, and now into Q3. So he could also be one to try and upset that top 4 and maybe jump up into a first or the second row. As we also see Ryan Hunter as well on an outlap here along with Riley McKay. So a few cars going out quite early as we have 10 minutes to go here in this qualifying session to see who's going to take that pole position and go into Mexico on the front foot.
We'll soon find out, folks. We are now in the beginning stages of Q3, but it's also the final frontier in terms of qualifying. And let us know in the live chat your predictions. We want to hear from you. Who's taking pole position? Get involved, everybody. We've got 10 drivers all looking to hunt for the top spot here at the very end of qualifying. We've got Oscar King, Riley McKay, Yusuf Goat, Jack Humphries, Gregory Prisball, Trent Newton, Big Man Rye, as well as Al Karudin, Campbell Adams, and Ryan Hunter. Jack Humphries, though, is going to be the first to head out on a flying lap. He looks to lay down the marker, the benchmark, here in Q3.
Of course, we'll see what Jack Humphries can do as he heads his way down to turn 4, of course, with that DRS into the braking zone of 28.517 there. So rather off in that first sector. So I do presume that Jack is on a set of the used soft compounder tyre as he heads his way now down to turn 7 here, enters the S's section, gets the car thrown in well without running too wide as he heads his way through. A bit of a snap there of oversteer as he has to correct the car now. Heading down towards the stadium section, of course, with that DRS, it's going to be a 55.509 in that middle and first sector. You see, heads down now into the core of the stadium section, gets the car thrown in, runs very wide and using all that track as he can as he exits the Peraltada now, heads to the line, will be in the 13s, a 13.748 there for Jack Humphrey. So a decent banker lap here to start off Q3s. We do have, I think, Ryan Hunter heading through as well to set his first run.
Yeah, purple in the first 2 sectors for Ryan Hunter as well. He stole them away from Jack Humphreys almost immediately, so he should go first fastest. He does go first fastest by a mega 0.5 of a second, just over 0.5, just nearly 5 1/4 here in this case. And Riley McKay also out on the lap as well. His first sector, though, not really inspiring much. It was a 30.4, which I'll say to you now is approximately around 3 seconds off the pace, 2 to 3 seconds off the pace of Ryan Hunter. Gregory Prisbill, the man to watch right now. He's just gone purple in that first sector with a 27.968. So the Scuderia Ferrari starting to light up here around Mexico City, and he'll be looking to loft himself up into the top end as well. Ryan Hunter, as I said, currently the fastest driver out on track, a 1:13.227. But remember, we have seen 1:12s already in qualifying. Remember, Gregory Prisbill setting the fastest lap back in our previous session with that 1:12.932. He's going to look to dip into the 1:12s again this time and well and truly put an end to Ryan Hunter's reign at the top of the timing tower here in Q3 as he now rounds the final corner here in the initial, does drop into the 1:12s and surpasses his fastest lap in Q2 as well. That's a 1:12.890. Gregory Prisbill, 100% podium record, and you never know, it could be set to continue.
It's certainly good here. We did see Riley McKay in that first sector there, a 27.928, so was up on what Gregory Prisbill did in that first sector here. So let's see what can Riley McKay do in that middle sector here in the Aston Martin on a brand new set of the soft compounder tyre, using that DRS now down towards the stadium section. He's up by 13 seconds, but of course that lap was set, I think, trying to burn some fuels. He has an invalidation to turn 12, runs too wide on the exit, and unfortunately won't be able to set that lap there as Al Karudin goes up into P3 with a 13.408. What would it have been for Riley McKay? It would have been a 9.43, so not enough for pole, but within a 10th of that lap time from the Ferrari.
Yeah, he was faster than Gregory Prisbill in the first sector, so I have no doubt that it would have been a stonking lap time. I think that's the only word for it. But we have got improvements already. Oscar King, incidentally, though, whilst it was failure for Riley McKay in that first lap, Oscar King has picked up the baton and immediately gone purple in the first sector with a 27.889. But his teammate, Yusuf Goat, also in the Red Bull colours, making his way around the final corner here. He's done a 28.082 and a 27.247. He'll cross the line and go 6th fastest. No way near representative, a 1:14.013. Oscar King, though, the man to watch, making his way through the stadium section, 27.889 in sector 1, 26.823 in sector 2. Ooh. Not the fastest in that second sector, but the third sector could be crucial. He goes second quickest, just behind Gregory Prisbill. Like I said, King with the fastest first sector, but Prisbill still fastest in 2 and 3.
Definitely, and I mean, I think Oscar King had a lot more in that lap because the Peraltada, he had a massive slide and probably lost around a 10th there, so it could have been a lap for pole position there for Oscar King, but a slight mistake in the Peraltada probably cost him that for now. As you do see, Big Man Rye heading down towards turn 4, he's on a 31.1, so not on a representative lap. So now it's the calm before the storm here. 5 minutes to go in this Q3 session, and Campbell Adams and Riley McKay still without a representative lap time here, heading into the final runs. It's do or die here for those two.
Certainly is. The car's now getting set to line up into the pits, and obviously allows us to sort of look back and reminisce just a little bit more, folks. Let us know in live chat as to who you think or whether your poll prediction is on the board. I've got a few names here already from what we discussed prior. We've got Go Tapan, my goat, says M-Bombs in the chat. Let us know. I want every single one of you to get involved in the live chat. Let us know who your prediction is. We have had a few already. Greg will take poll, I think, said Lindsay F1. Currently as it stands, you are absolutely spot on. So let us know as to who you think your prediction is. Currently, 4 minutes to go. Gregory Prisball, once again, one of only 2 drivers notching together 112s onto the board. It was a 112.890 for Gregory Prisball. That is the fastest lap we've seen through qualifying today. Oscar King, for the first time as well, joining Prisball in the 112s with his own 112.938 as well. Ryan Hunter and Al Karudin once again manacled together at the hip with 113.227 for Hunter, Karudin on a 113.408. You just can't separate the 2 Woking cars.
No, certainly not. A brilliant job here by the 2 McLarens so far. Of course, both of them on that second row of the grid, so could be looking to score some big points for their team. And we just got just over 3 minutes to go, and I'm hoping the drivers, well, the drivers are hoping it's not going to rain, because I've got to say it's getting quite dark in the skies there over this circuit here in Mexico City. So, yeah, so I don't think rain will be that much of a risk, but they've just got to hope that it doesn't arrive. Otherwise, that could be, that could really upset this session, especially for Riley and Campbell.
Well, I'm looking at my rain prediction, and I'm pleased to say that the radar is telling me that it's not going to. At least that's what the radar's saying. Then again, we have been proven wrong in the past. And I must say, we've had it many times here in Wales, at the very least, that you can be told one thing and then get something totally different, and the rain comes down anyway. So yeah, it's just I just think we're a rainy country over here. Obviously, not such a concern in Australia. I do plan to visit there one day. Slammer has held me to it, so I will one day. Maybe come across for the Australian Grand Prix at some point or something. It's my favourite, to be honest with you. I always liked it as the opening race on the F1 calendar, the Australian Grand Prix. So I'm delighted, actually, that it's back to that heading into next season. So I'm very excited. But we've got some movements there in the pit lane already. Trent Newton heading out, Jack Humphreys, Campbell Adams, Gregory Prisball, Ryan Hunter. They're all heading out again for the final run. So this is squeaky bum time, everybody. This is where things get a little serious. Let us know, as I said, who your prediction is for qualifying. Nathan Richards, where do you currently sit?
I mean, I want to say Campbell Adams, but I've noticed that he's still got a few screen freezes. His car keeps jumping around, so I don't think he's going to be able to nail it for the whole lap. So I'm going to go with Riley McKay. Hasn't got a lap time on the board yet. Well, hasn't got at least a representative one. So yeah, I'm going to go with Riley McKay to take that pole position. But yeah, it's not looking good here for Campbell Adams. The car is jumping all over the place, and of course, due to a recent patch, there's a few drivers that have had to deal with a bit of a, I think the game's using a bit too much memory, and the PCs can't handle it. So it's a big shame for a few of those that have to deal with those issues, but hopefully they can all make it through this final run here in qualifying. As we do have now the first driver looking to set a lap. Jack Humphreys now, George, heading down to turn one, currently on a 13.748. Will be looking to jump up probably into that top 4, top 5.
Yeah, the theoretical best time around this track is a 112.810, and Gregory Prisball is currently 700ths away from that theoretical best time. That is extraordinary from the Ferrari, so it's going to be very tough to lift him away from the top spot. But nevertheless, there are opportunities for everybody, and Oscar King landed quite the blow when he took the purple first sector away from him. Jack Humphreys also looking to improve after his previous run. His last run, incidentally, a 28.517, coming through sector 1, and currently sits just over 8.5 tenths away from the top as he now flies through the S's section in the Williams, as we now watch them head down in towards the right-hander. He's found 0.6 of a second already. It's personal bests in the first and second sector. 26.850 coming out of sector 2. So this is a really good sign here for Jack Humphreys. The legacy this young man leaves is almighty and strong, and he'll look to continue and goes third fastest right at the bitter stages here of this session. Campbell Adams, despite the challenges, despite the screen freezes, he's going to make his way up towards the line and go fastest brilliant from Campbell Adams, a 1:12.833. That is truly sensational. A great lap landed onto the board. 6th fastest for Yusuf Goat, and we also have others coming across as well. Al Karudin going 5th fastest. What about the Ferrari of Gregory Prisbill? No, he will not go fastest this time. We have Riley McKay, who did not put together the best of laps to start, goes 2nd fastest and squashes his Veloce Academy teammate Gregory Prisbill. An incredible moment. Final car coming across the line. It won't mean much because it is going to be Campbell Adams, fastest here at Mexico, with a stunning 1:12.833.
Yeah, a brilliant lap there by Campbell Adams, and he's going to really be looking to try and disrupt that Veloce Academy 1-2-3 in the race, as well as he has done in qualifying, as we do see Riley McKay in 2nd place on the front row of the grid, and then we have Gregory Prisbill and Oscar King, our championship protagonists, P3 and P4, ahead of Jack Humphreys, then the 2 McLarens, Al Cruden and Ryan Hunter, Yusuf Goat P8, Big Man Ryan P9, and Trent Newton rounding out the top 10, and just over a 10th there, George, separates the top 4, so certainly pace isn't an issue for any of those. And I believe that the lap that Oscar King was on for would have popped him up into the top 3, but had an invalidation heading into turn 12, so unfortunately couldn't finish that lap.
Well, got very fast and furious, didn't it, folks? But Campbell Adams, as I hoped, he has broken the trend of Veloce Academy pole sitters. This leaves us with a very fascinating race right in front of us, folks, so sit tight. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Well, welcome back, folks, to the OFI, the Oceania F1 Invitational, for our 3rd event of the championship, 3rd and final event, in fact. We have got 2 streams to bring you this week. Deepest apologies for the technical gremlins. For the first time in my history, I think, of commentating league racing, I've had a stream key explode. How about that? I mean, that is brand new. I've never had one of those before. So, along with Campbell Adams taking pole, and on top of that, my stream key exploding, we've got 2 major firsts here in the OFI. So, yeah, brilliant. That's fantastic. But just a little reminder, first and foremost, going back to where we were, of course, George Morgan and Nathan Richards here taking you through the action. Here is the current state of affairs. This is where we were prior to everything going boom, boom. We've got results here from prior events, kicking off at Bahrain for round 1 in event 1. It was Gregory Prisbill who commenced his championship off just in the right way. And then he followed it up, didn't he, folks, in tremendous fashion with victory at Saudi Arabia as well, making it 2 for 2. Now, the results moving onwards from that, obviously when we moved to Zandvoort, Oscar King went ahead and took victory at the Netherlands in truly domineering fashion, and he went ahead and went from pole to victory at Monza as well on the 14th of November in round 4. So it's 2 wins for Prisbill, 2 wins for King. Now that, as a consequence, places them 9 points apart. And the only reason that gap is the way it is because Gregory Prisbill has a 100% podium record, and Oscar King currently has a P5 against his name from Jeddah. It could have looked very different had he got a P2 at Jeddah. They would have arrived here on equal points. But if you want to contextualize this, if Oscar King wins this race tonight and Prisbill finishes 2nd, that means they head to Vegas in 2 days' time with only 2 points between them. Truly exceptional. The championship still very much in the midst of a very close fight. But tonight, obviously, it's not the case that any of them are on pole. It falls the way of Campbell Adams, Nathan, and a huge pole position it is too. Yeah, well, there we're seeing it. We just saw pan pictures of the Mexico City round that we are currently in the midst of. We've got Las Vegas coming up, though, in 2 days' time as well, on the 12th of December from round 6, where we head down the Vegas Strip. And there's a look at the calendar as well, just a brief reminder of what we've got laid up ahead of us. Obviously, this will be the final sayonara for the OFI for Event 6. And we'll then look ahead to Event 7, I am sure, with this championship growing, certainly leaps and bounds in recent times, and it's great to see as well. Gives a grand platform to all those from the Oceania regions. It's an area that is trying to grow, and it's hard to believe that it needs growing because, of course, we've had some fantastic Australian Grand Prix in the past. You know, when we think about Australia in Formula One, you think of, obviously of the circuit at Melbourne, and then following suit from that. Bear in mind, that has been the mainstay on the calendar. It used to be the very start of the season. It goes back to being the first round of the season, coming into Formula One next season. And then even prior to that, we look at Adelaide, for example. I mean, what a circuit that was too. Street circuit, where we saw the famous moment between Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher, where the Benetton met the Williams, of all places, at the hairpin, which cost Damon Hill the title. And, of course, it went Schumacher's way. But just an amazing nation where we have seen so much happen in the world of Formula One. It also brought us the likes of Daniel Ricciardo, brings us the likes of Liam Lawson. Of course, RB have switched out one Aussie for another one. So there we go. It's going to be fantastic, though. Tonight should be special and should set the tone, really, for where the championship could yet go. If Prisbill wins tonight, then he knocks out basically near enough the entire roster in this championship, leaving only him and Oscar King in a position, should King finish in a strong position, to battle for the title at Vegas. So many permutations, it's too close to call, but in this case, it's going to be exciting. Let us know your predictions in the live chat. Nathan, what are your thoughts? I want to apologise, actually. I want to apologise. He's not Australian. I do apologise, everybody. The flag is very similar, right? Give me a break, all right? I was out there with my baiting hook and I was waiting for someone to grasp it. They have. Easy. I did forget Oscar Piastri, and Oscar Piastri would have been a better example, I think. And also, for some reason, your audio has decided to switch again. So apologies for that. What is going on tonight with the technical issues and the technical glitches we have had? We do apologise, everybody. We obviously, now and again, we do reach faux pas from time to time. Nathan, speak up for us.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
you're good. You're
you
good.
can hear me better now.
You're good. Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's welcome to the league racing scene, everybody. But yeah, Will Gibson's actually come in and said that's a good thing. You don't have to hear the Brummie accent. I'm inclined to agree.
Oh, here he is. Of course, Will Gibson's here. Of course.
Yeah. No, honestly, fun and games. So yeah, let's look ahead. Yeah, we could talk about some of the names. Obviously, Webber, Ricciardo, Piastri doing as mentioned by Kyotonic.
George, I've got some information.
Oh no.
Campbell has a 2-place grid penalty.
Wow. Okay. That is wild. Okay, so we've already had some breaking news. So Campbell Adams, despite taking an initial pole position, we do have a grid penalty for Campbell Adams from the last round. He will have a 2-place grid penalty from the last round, looking ahead to our next race here this evening. So it's not the case that Campbell Adams starts on pole. He was on pole, basically based on what we saw in qualifying, but a major twist in the tail here after our last round at Monza. Campbell Adams has got a 2-place grid penalty, which will mean that he will start third on the grid.
Yeah, I saw someone in the chat say that actually helped him. To be fair, they're not that far from being wrong, because first place is never where you want to start here in Mexico, because you get the slipstream and everyone behind just closes in and makes a move into turn one. So maybe it's better that he starts in third, because he can just try and take the lead into the first corner by having that slipstream and using that ERS.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. We're just getting it ready to load into the session, everybody. Honestly, twists and turns. I mean, pole position was taken initially by Campbell Adams. This could have really thrown the whole championship into question. Well, the championship could still be thrown into question. It's not as if Campbell Adams is far away from the front end. He's starting on the second row, so every chance if he gets a good run. Bear in mind, there's a long road down to turn one as well, Nathan. If he gets in the slipstream, if he gets in within DRS, you know, we've seen moves done 2 at a time around this, you know, Mexico City circuit, especially down that long straight.
Definitely, as we haven't got long to go before we get our way into the race here at Mexico. And of course, strategy-wise, we could see a mixture of mediums and hards, but we could also just see everyone on the mediums or everybody on the hards. They all tend to go very similar when it comes to strategy.
Yeah, well, there we have a look at this Mexico City circuit. It is currently, well, the sun's shining. There is no concerns of rain at this stage, but that can all change, that's for sure. We all know that things can change very abruptly on the F1 game. One thing I will say is, looking at my weather radar, we are not expecting any wet weather at all. So it's going to be a straight fight between all the runners in this race, just waiting for the drivers to get themselves onto the grid, and we will get this race in full swing. But a little reminder, of course, with the grid penalty put into place, it does open the door now for Riley McKay and Gregory Prisbill here, Nathan. They'll be starting on the front row.
Yeah, definitely going to be a very good race for them now, having that first and second here, and they can work together to keep Campbell Adams behind and try and get Oscar King through into third.
Yeah, obviously let us know in the live chat, folks, as to where your predictions are for this race. We will, of course, read them out as time goes on. Just waiting for the players now to get themselves set and into their grid positions. But yeah, already a lot of drama coming out of it. We've had technical issues. We've had dramatics with the grid penalties. Who knows? What's the race going to bring? Let us know. Will Gibson coming out saying Oscar will win as he's the best. So, you know, that is the Veloce Academy, one of the Veloce Academy team engineers speaking there. Actually letting us know that at least one of the Veloce Academy drivers are going to win here this time around. Now, if Oscar does win, that could be huge in terms of the championship. So let's find out. All 5 lights are lit, though, and it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Riley McKay getting off the line very well. So does Gregory Prisbill. Campbell Adams further back as well. Prisbill getting into the aero here of Riley McKay to get things underway as we now head down through towards turn 1. It is still, though, Prisbill now with the inside line. He's going to try and challenge McKay. Heading into turn 1. Prisbill leads here straight away. Took full advantage. Coming through turn 1, coming out of turn 2 and turn 3, and Oscar King now also queued up in behind Riley McKay. Further back, Campbell Adams under pressure because Al Karudin is challenging him for P4.
Yeah, a brilliant start indeed from our top 4 here in this race. Of course, Campbell Adams dropping back a position, heading out of turn 3, got pushed a little bit wide, and Oscar King went through and took that 3rd place for now as we head our way through to the S's section here. We've got Yusuf Goat on the back of Ryan Hunter there, trying to make a move for P7 further back as well. Big man Rye looking to close as well in on the Red Bull in the Haas car as they head their way down to the stadium section for the first time here in this Grand Prix. Of course, a good start as well from Jack Humphries, separating the 2 McLarens as they head their way into the Peril Tarda for the first time in this Grand Prix to begin lap 2 of 36, and of course DRS will be enabled on this lap.
Yeah, the Bollard also taking a hit as it rolls away, but also rolling down the straight are our 18 cars as they head down towards turn 1 to begin lap 2 of 36. It's Prisbill out on top, Riley McKay down in 2nd place with Oscar King in 3rd as well. We've got 2 tenths between Ryan Hunter and Jack Humphries further up, and it's getting a little tight between big man Ryan Yusuf Goat. We see some moves further back though, as now Trent Newton looks to move past Karma F1. He's got that inside line coming out of turn 2 and turn 3. Not quite able to make the most of it though, and he's lost out to Karma again, and this time ACW, fellow driver in the Sauber colours, also getting it slightly wrong, getting slightly stuck under braking, and very nearly Potato going into the back of him. A little bit of drama for those in the bottom 10.
Definitely, and Campbell Adams here has got to hope that he can keep himself within a second. Of course, starting on the hard, going to be a lot slower on these first couple of laps, and you know, on a couple of occasions has dropped to about 8, 9 tenths behind the top three. So he's got to try and keep a decent gap here to the top three here to get that DRS, and of course try and pull himself forward. Of course, it's going to be a hard couple of laps here for Campbell Adams, Al Karudin and Jack Humphries, but once those mediums start to drop off, the hards will come alive and they can look to push forward and possibly make some overtakes, as the fastest lap goes to Gregory Prujable at the top there with the 1:16.108 as we all head our way down to turn one once again here. Ryan Hunter on the back here of Jack Humphries, McLaren versus Williams. Let's see, do we get a move here by Ryan Hunter? We're going to move at the top there as Riley McKay takes the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Gregory Prujable, goes to the top. What can Oscar King do? Can he try and get second place? Because he will have that DRS, but no, isn't quite close enough there to close in and make a move on Gregory.
Yeah, great start here for Riley McKay, obviously getting his race underway in full flight. Obviously both of the Veloce Academy, should I say the trio of Veloce Academy drivers now 1, 2 and 3 as they were back at Monza. Obviously the grid penalty not ideal for Campbell Adams. It put him on the back foot, put him in third place, not getting the best of starts either to lurch off the line, wasn't able to hold on to third and eventually found himself in fourth. He's on hard tyres, which will mean that he's at a disadvantage in this opening stint, but of course he will have the opportunity to change to mediums for the second stint of this race. So going a different route in comparison to the three that sit at the top end of the order. Now, the one thing that has been given to the Veloce Academy drivers is that because there are 3 cars behind them that are on hard tyres, it means that they can break away from those in P7, 8, 9 and 10 and 11. So it out-strategizes them in this instance, as now we see a DRS swap once more between Prisball and Riley McKay. Oscar King also coming into this as well as he looks to go around the outside of Riley McKay. He'll go around the outside of Gregory Prisball as well. Move from third to first. Hop, skip and jump through turn 1, turns 2 and turns 3. It's King who leads the way.
And we've got some really good battles behind us. We've got a 5-car battle, P14 down to P18. They're all having their little squabbles, knowing they're not really close to points. So just going to have a bit of a play around here and have a bit of a battle, as we do see Lindsay and Mulder drop a little bit further back there behind one of the LPs, and the other one will close in shortly as well, as they make a send in towards turn 4. Very nice little battle in here at the back of the field. Of course, we also saw a couple of moves there between the 2 Kick Sabres, ACW and Trent Newton. Of course, they have Potato 101 right behind them in the Aston Martin. So we'll see what he can do, of course, trying to work his way up the field here. But of course, at the front between our top 3, very close contest so far. And of course, our top 2 in the championship currently sit first and second. And of course, if it finished this way, then Oscar King would bring it back and have a 2-point gap behind Gregory Prujable here. So it's going to be very key. Oscar's going to be very keen here to try and take the victories. We do see Gregory take the lead of the Grand Prix, heading down to turn 1.
Yeah, Gregory Prisball now leads on lap 5 of 36, swapping over with Oscar King as we now begin yet another lap. Oh, a tap in the rear from Riley McKay on the back of Oscar King, and that could have caused a little bit of damage to that front nose cone. Not quite sure. It doesn't look like there's anything visible, but a very slight love tap on the back. It did unsettle Oscar King ever so slightly. Riley McKay very nearly losing it altogether. And Campbell Adams, I think now, licking his lips to the opportunity of perhaps making it into the top 3. And don't count out Al Karudin or Jack Humphries as well, because they've bottlenecked right at the top. The only major gap is between ACW and Reese Fisher, and that is between Ps 10 and Ps 11.
Yeah, so the top 10 all in a trade here to try and score points, and of course, with a big gap, only safety car would get any of those 11th down, probably into that top 10 here. So as long as everyone keeps it clean, the top 10 currently will easily be able to score points here as we head our way through the stadium section of the Forest Salt into the Peraltada once again to begin lap 6 of 36. It's currently Gregory Prujable that leads away ahead of Oscar King and Riley McKay in third place. Further down, of course, Potato making a move ahead of ACW to split the 2 Kick Sabres as we head our way back down to turn 1 with our leaders. However, Oscar King takes the lead again ahead of Riley McKay. Gregory drops down to P3, and Campbell Adams here. He's just going to be waiting and waiting for that opportunity to rise, where some of them ahead don't get that DRS, so he could just try and slot it up the inside and get a move.
Yeah, just waiting for a few of the drivers further back to get frustrated. Now, the one issue here for those on the mediums right now is that they do burn away rather quickly. They aren't necessarily the best tyre. We've always known the hard tyre to be a good race tyre historically where it comes to the F1 game. So, you know, it's not a bad situation for Campbell Adams and Al Karudin and Jack Humphreys to be in. It's what they use, is how they use them in this opening stint. You know, how far do you go? I mean, obviously the ideal scenario would be that they're able to take down a couple of the Veloce Academy drivers up at the very top and at least put themselves in, you know, a proximity or a position where they could land a blow to Oscar King. But I think they're just more concerned about maintaining the status quo, allow then the fight to continue when we head into the final stint of the race. Let's wait and see where this strategy goes. Obviously, it's a huge, giant game of chess, as we all know, where the F1 game is concerned. We've seen it in league racing time on time again. The very best do it. We've seen it from the likes of Jana Watmir, and now we're seeing it from the likes of these OFI drivers who are looking to break into the higher echelons of sim racing, as now Riley McKay takes the lead. Oscar King dropping down twice once more. We saw that earlier on. Only King was the one to prevail and reach the top. This time, though, it's Riley McKay who leads here on lap 7, with Gregory Principal now into second. Campbell Adams watching it all unfold from 4th place.
Yeah, Campbell Adams quite happy just to sit behind. I was on board with him down to turn 1. Oscar King was around, I think, about 80 thousandths ahead. Campbell Adams could have easily gone for a move, had loads of battery, chose not to use any battery, and chose not to make that overtake here. So Campbell Adams is showing he's quite happy just to sit there in that 4th position behind the 3 Veloce Academy cars, because he knows either way he's got to go longer than them in this race. It's going to be hard to medium for him. It's going to be a medium hard for those in the top 3s. We did see there Lindsay Muddle getting a penalty, 3 seconds, and currently down in P17. Not been a good race at all here for Lindsay Muddle, or at least a good start to the race here as we head over to begin lap 8 now with 36. Nearly a quarter of the way through of this Grand Prix, and Riley McKay still has that lead, but of course every lap that lead is swapping around between the top 3, because they're all going to use that DRS to, you know, keep Campbell Adams behind. But given a couple of laps here, Campbell Adams will be in a position where he's going to be forced into a move because he's going to be that close.
Yeah, well, we got changes up at the top again. Gregory Principal moving on through, as does Oscar King, though it was a little bit more complicated than perhaps first thought. Potato also challenging for a P11th place. He's been swapping with Trent Newton now for quite some time, and MJ Roller also coming into a fight of his own as he now looks to battle against Karma F1. He's now flirting with a second gap between he and Plebs over that P14 battle, but now once again Karma coming straight back at Plebs here, but not quite able to put himself in a position where he can challenge heading into the apex. But here on lap 8 of 36, it's Gregory Principal who is now flexing that gap of near enough 0.8 of a second between he and Oscar King right now. Riley McKay down in 3rd. Campbell Adams still very much in touching distance as it stands. So just really, I think, just nursing those tyres along. I think really if you're on these hards, you want to take them really as long as possible on this opening stint.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just on board again with Campbell Adams following through Riley McKay, and never was in a position to make a move, but forced Riley to go defensive and kind of be put under a little bit of pressure. And Riley did make a few mistakes as well, so that's the thing here that Campbell Adams can benefit from, knowing that he can put Riley under some pressure. But we do see as well further back Al Karudin looking to close in as well and possibly make a move ahead of Campbell Adams, but isn't quite close enough as they head their way down to the first braking zone here at turn number 1. And they hop the curb, and they'll go down towards turn 4. A brilliant exit there from Campbell Adams. A poor exit, though, from Riley McKay. But, of course, DRS for both of them. No one there gets an advantage as they head down to turn 4. But given a couple of laps here, there's no reason why Campbell Adams will be behind Riley McKay, because so far we are seeing the hards start to get a little bit quicker here than the medium tyres.
I don't think Campbell Adams really wants to move ahead of Riley McKay as it stands. I think he's happy just to maintain this, just wants to maintain the pace, because this is really working quite nicely out for him here, because he's on those hard tyres. Not really judged to be the faster compound than the mediums whatsoever, but here in this case it's proven to be quite a good tyre. Though this time he does have a little look. Al Karudin also having a look as well on his hard compound as we now watch them come through the latter stages of this lap 9 of 36. Now, just to talk about pit stops, because we were alluding to strategy earlier on, AMS Checker not necessarily pulling off a strategic stop earlier on. No doubt that was for potential damage that he would have sustained. He moved from his medium tyres that he only managed to put 4 laps on, to then moving on to the hard tyres that he now puts 5 laps on in this case. So the Alpine now stricken towards the rear, and we're seeing another pit stop as Trent Newton comes in very early here, Nathan.
He certainly does, and we can see there Gregory pushing Riley wide as now Campbell Adams looks to join the battle here for second place as they head their way down to turn 4. Al Karudi comes through and gets ahead of Riley McKay, looking to make a move as well on a Gregory Prujibble. Is Al Karudin here in the McLaren, looking to make 2 brilliant moves and does so. Brilliant there from Al Karudin, jumps into P3 behind Campbell Adams now, who is going to be right in the rear of Oscar King and could look to take the lead heading on to lap 11 of 36. A brilliant move there by the Mercedes and the McLaren to get ahead of Gregory and Riley.
Yeah, now a complication for the Veloce Academy team. They have now allowed 2 drivers on the hard tyres to move on up. So now the warning signals are present, and Jack Humphreys up the inside as well of Riley McKay. And it looks like McKay is losing places left, right and centre, and Ryan Hunter is hunting him down as well. So a major twist in the tail here on lap 10 of 36. It's Oscar King who leads at this stage very early on now. The positions are starting to twist, and Campbell Adams getting closer and closer. It's looking to take down a 3rd Veloce Academy driver and take the lead of the race. He does. Campbell Adams now in front, in control, in charge on hard tyres, with King now down into 2nd place.
And of course, an extra dose of DRS here for Campbell Adams down to turn 4 helps keep him ahead of Oscar King as we head into the braking zone now for turn 4. Al Karudin closing in quite quickly now on the back of Oscar King. Could be looking for a move for that 2nd position further back as well. Jack Humphreys looking to close down and take down Gregory Prujibble as well to jump up into that top 4. And it seems now that those hards are a lot quicker than the medium tyres. So give it a couple of laps here. I expect most of the medium runners to be in the pits and onto a set. The hards, as use of GOAT, gets a 3-second penalty. So it seems as well these tyres are also struggling with that grip.
Yeah, they certainly are. As we now take a view from the front wing of Oscar King heading down in towards the stadium section once more. Just look how close they bottleneck coming into the heavy braking zones around the stadium section. We'll wait for them now to come around the final corners. Now, one has to wonder, when do those on the mediums now decide to box in terms of an actual strategic stop? We have seen, of course, a couple of moves already being made, a couple of changes. Yusuf Goat coming into the pits, so he's now moving from the medium compound tyre onto the hards. We saw Trent Newton do it a lap prior. Oscar King taking the lead back away from Campbell Adams. Al Karudin moving up into 2nd. Very impressed with Al Karudin here in this race. Like I said, his only podium coming at Jeddah, where he finished P3 in that race and is now looking to try and just send a warning shot to Oscar King this time on lap 12. We've got Gregory Prisbill as well looking to try and challenge Jack Humphreys. These 2 greats, of course, Humphreys prior, like I said, a huge legacy in Oceanic F1 League racing, has now managed to defend the place against Gregory Prisbill, who now has to wait behind in 5th.
Yep, definitely a brilliant move there by Jack Humphreys, but, you know, we can tell these moves are going to be a lot easier now because these medium tyres are really starting to die off as Al Karudin now all over the rear of Oscar King as they head their way down to turn 12 into the stadium section. Behind those, of course, Campbell Adams and Jack Humphreys as well in P4 as we head our way through the peril Tarda to begin lap 13 of 36 here. And still, Oscar King leads the way, and Al Karudin closes in here, looking to try and make a move and jump up onto that top spot. Campbell Adams as well, looking to close in as well. He could be looking to make a move for the lead. So Oscar King gets overtaken by 1, gets overtaken by 2, could even lose 3 spots here down to turn 1. Jack Humphreys to the inside, can't quite make a move, and a tap there from Oscar King onto the back of Campbell Adams.
Yeah, Campbell Adams now into 2nd. Obviously, despite the love tap from Oscar King in behind, DRS now open. Al Karudin with DRS as well, which does put, obviously, Oscar King at a bit of a disadvantage. I'll open the door here for Jack Humphreys, who's going to take him around the outside as they come through. They bang wheels as they now stretch through. The double right-handers coming out of turn 6 this time. They came together coming through turns 4 and 5, but Jack Humphreys up to 3rd and Oscar King down in 4th.
Yeah, brilliant move there by Jack Humphreys. I mean, bit of a dodgy one there. You know, a bit of contacts here and there, a bit of wheel banging, but gets the job done either way and jumps up into that 3rd spot for now as we also see Ryan Hunter here looking to make a move ahead of Riley McKay. Ryan's going to have to go around the outside, gets pushed a little bit wide, and Ryan Hunter goes through and takes that 6th place here as we head our way through into the final corners once again. Oscar King looking to struggle here, having a slide, heading through the Peraltada. We see Oscar, Gregory and Riley all into the pit lane. So they're going very early here onto a set of the hards, and right, Reese Fisher also joins them as Ryan Hunter stays out on the mediums.
Yeah, this is all those now, removing those medium tyres and now moving on to the hard compound. So Oscar King now making his way out. Gregory Prisbill filters in behind the Red Bull livery, and also further back, Riley McKay also making his way out as well in the Aston Martin. Reese Fisher joining them on this strategy, and now this could be good for Reese Fisher as well. Didn't necessarily start as high as many of the others, but might have strategically pulled a worldie and could yet put himself right in the mix of this fight. Now Lindsay Muddle is currently sat ahead of Oscar King right now. The gap between them just under 2 seconds. So that gap, I can imagine, is going to come down rather quickly because Lindsay Muddle is on 13 lap-old hards, whereas Oscar King is on fresh hards.
Indeed, as we do see as well, Gregory Prisbill looking to close in there on Oscar King. Riley McKay making a move ahead of Yusuf Goat there. Much needed overtake here for Riley McKay to close back in to his two teammates ahead of him as they look to get it within that DRS here of Lindsay Muddle and try and pull themselves a little bit closer, and of course just try to build that gap to those behind, and also look to increase that and close down that gap between themselves and Campbell Adams. Of course, Campbell, Al Karudi, Jack Humphreys will all be heading onto a set of the mediums as these guys are now on a brand new set of the hards. So will be a very interesting ending to this race to see which strategy is the one to go for as Al Karudi takes the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Campbell Adams now, as Oscar King looks to close in and make a move ahead of Lindsay Muddle. Gregory will follow suit along with Riley McKay.
Yeah, Oscar King now making his way down the straight. Ryan Hunter just coming out of the pits. So no concerns as far as Ryan Hunter's concerned between the Veloce Academy group. Gregory Prisbill and Oscar King coming through. They've now managed to lofty themselves past Lindsay Muddle. Riley McKay ahead of Oscar King this time. In behind you've got Yusuf Goat, who forfeited his position not too long ago as well. Lindsay Muddle now with Reese Fisher just behind too. So Fisher's going to look to try and get past as soon as he can. Doesn't want to get caught behind, and yes, moves up to P11. So a good overtake from Reese Fisher to stay in touching distance of the trio of Prisbill, McKay and King, with Yusuf Goat as well, who's done actually 2 more laps on his tyres here in this instance. But Reese Fisher in touching distance and with a great chance here to really clamber onto a decent result. Remember, all those from P1 down to P6 still yet to pit.
Definitely. Looking at the gap to leader here, Al Karudi down to Gregory is 21.4 seconds here, so still very close on the cusp, but of course coming out in the lead. But of course they've got a long way to go on these hard tyres, probably another 10 laps before they head into the pits and go into a set of the mediums. They could go a bit earlier because they will have less fuel in the car, so it's not going to be as heavy and strenuous on those medium tyres as they head their way down to turn 4. Brilliant job so far here by our top 3. Of course, also a brilliant job by our former top 3 of Riley, Gregory and Oscar. And Yusuf Goat as well following in behind those, but of course has a penalty. Not the way Yusuf Goat would have wanted this race to, well, Willie wanted to conclude having that 3-second penalty, which could hamper him probably a position for the podium.
Yeah, very possible. Quite a few warnings actually distributed across the grid. In fact, we've already had penalties as well. We've alluded to a few of them. Of course, you've been alluding to them as well, Nathan. Yusuf Goat picking them up, as we said. Reese Fisher, Lindsay Muddle, Trent Newton, checkered as well, who's had a really checkered race, it has to be said. Campbell Adams leading the way on lap 16 of 36, 20 to go. Of course, he's still yet to box. Now, he's only got 1 warning against his name so far. And also 2 warnings distributed to Al Karudin, 2 warnings for Jack Humphreys, 2 warnings as well for ACW, as now we watch Al Karudin move to the inside. DRS swapping between Al Karudin and Campbell Adams, so they've decided to almost take the Veloce Academy approach here and DRS each other. They know that they need to work together to make their strategies work. Potato jumps ahead of ACW as well, and we've got Gregory Prisbill now on a charge as he now looks to go past Riley McKay. The 2 of them also DRSing off each other. Now, based on the last lap, if we want to talk about deltas, it looks like Prisbill, his last lap, a 1:16.386, which was altogether 5 tenths or so faster, nearly 6 tenths faster than Campbell Adams in second place. So this is where we'll start to see those on the fresh hards start to deliver optimal laps as opposed to those who have not yet boxed and currently sit on older hard tyres. So now we'll see how the strategies unfold. But bear in mind, all those in the top 6 really need to go a little bit further here because remember, they will finish very likely on medium tyres. A huge twitch there from MJ Roller, and that's going to allow Gregory Prisball to move up the inside as they head down into Sector 3. Easy pass, and he moves up to 6.
Certainly there, a nice move from Gregory, and the worst part here for Riley and Oscar is they've been kept behind MJ Roller here, as we do see Campbell Adams take the lead again. Just swapping there with Al Karudin as Riley McKay looking to try and find that move ahead of MJ Roller. Of course, it's not been a good race here for MJ at all here in the Alpine, as Riley McKay gets that move done. Jumps up into P7 now. Oscar King looks to make a move ahead of MJ Roller. We do see ACW there getting ahead of Potato 101 as we head our way down to turn number 1 now. Oscar King looking to make a move on Riley, but backs off as they head their way into that first braking zone, and we continue on once again now, and it's going to be Reese Fisher's turn to try and get ahead of MJ Roller as they head their way down to turn number 4.
Yeah, Reese Fisher now getting very close and personal, looking to battle over that P10th place. MJ Roller losing place after place here in his Alpine, and he's still yet to box. He's attributed 17 laps on his tyres. Reese Fisher, who's already boxed but does carry a 3-second time penalty, sits in behind Yusuf Gotu, also has a 3-second time penalty, and they're the only two currently with 3-second time penalties inside the top 10. Big Man Rai also adding his name to the 3-second time penalty list, though he's in P12 despite being on 5-lap fresh hard tyres. We now run on board with MJ Roller heading down into the final echelons on this lap. The gap between, as it stands, ACW and Jack Humphreys sits at 11.7 seconds. Al Karudin retakes the race lead as they continue to DRS swap at the very head of the order. So it's Gregory Prisball 4.3 back away from Potato and ACW, as we now see Potato move up into 4th place. And then there's quite a mountainous gap there further up. So I would say approximately the gap to leader, as it stands, sits at 17.3 seconds. So it's certainly working into the hands of the Veloce bunch on the hard tyres, the fresher hard tyres, I should say.
Yep, and the good thing here for the Veloce Academy bunch is that they have lots of clean air, so they can just keep pushing forward and not worry too much about having to overtake slow cars. They've only had to do it twice in their 5 laps here, and they haven't lost that much time. Of course, given it two or three laps, they'll catch up onto the back of ACW and Potato 101. But once they dispatch those, there's 11 seconds worth of clean air where they can just keep DRS swapping, keep pumping in those optimal laps, and try and bring that gap down between the top 3, of course. So when they pit, they've got a lot more work to do to try and catch up. As Al Karudin bails in early here on the medium, on the hard tyres, goes on to a set of the mediums here. So very early here from Al Karudin, but that could also bring Campbell Adams, Jack Humphreys, Potato and ACW into a position as well where they need to make a pit stop so they don't get undercutted but here by Al Karudin.
Yeah, no, this is a big call from Al Karudin. We'll have to see whether it works out. Obviously, that means he's going to have very old tyres come the end of this race. Let's see how that grip prevails in the latter stages of this Mexican race. Ryan Hunter now breezes past him. He's got a sea of cars now looking to jump past him straight away, heading in towards turn 1. MJ Roller also part of this fight as well in his Alpine. He's yet to box as well. Al Karudin brushes past him straight away on that fresh medium compound, and he's going to be packing quite the punch in those mediums, at least for the initial. But we saw, didn't we, Nathan, how much they drop off towards the end of a stint. We saw it from the Veloce Academy group at the very start of the race. They sank through the field, so whilst things look good for Al Karudin here in this initial, they could all fall apart towards the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. His tyres will certainly fall off. Of course, they're going to take them 16 laps. But of course, it'll be a little bit later this time around because they got less fuel. So maybe around lap 10, lap 11 on these tyres, they'll really start to drop off and have a bit of a struggle. So they've got to hope.
Campbell Adams coming in.
Ooh,
yeah. Coming in early, well, not early as such, but, you know, obviously just a lap later, perhaps responding to Al Karudin here in this case. So Campbell Adams coming in, fresh medium tyres. Jack Humphreys also in to exchange onto mediums, and they won't be alone either because in comes as well ACW 132, Potato this time too as well. We move back to the front, and Gregory Prisball will be your race leader here in this exchange. Now Riley McKay brushes past him down in towards turn 1. So lap 21 of 36, the strategy starting to unfold, and look at Al Karudin. Remember, stopping only a lap earlier than we saw from Campbell Adams just now, and he's managed to put 2 cars between them, and also at the same time now track position, like we always say, oh so vital. This is going to be an almighty task for Campbell Adams and Jack Humphreys and all the others that started on the hards to really get into this race. It's all in the hands of Veloce Academy right now.
It certainly is, of course. Big man Ryan Hunter haven't got as much pace as Campbell and Jack, so they should try and dispatch them quite quickly, of course. Get ahead of Big man Ryan, then try and close down on Ryan Hunter, and then get within a second of Al Karudin as they head their way through the SS section now, down towards the stadium section at the Furrow Sol. Of course, at the front, it's still our Veloci Academy cars, Riley McKay, Gregory Pushbill, and Oscar King, as we head our way now into the core of the stadium. And we can see there Ryan Hunter going a little bit deep. Big man Ryan follows suit, and that does bring Campbell Adams a little bit closer here to possibly make a move down to turn 1. Has a brilliant exit behind the Haas as Al Cruden takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 15.2, and Campbell Adams jumps into P8 as Gregory Pushbill takes lead of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, we briefly saw a moment, folks, with just a slight glitch, I think, on the timing tower, where it said that it was 13 seconds in between Pushbill and Riley McKay. I can assure you that that's not the case. They were very much closer than that. In fact, so close that Pushbill was able to make that move for the race lead, so no concerns there. Oscar King in third, Yusuf Goat also part of this leading group, but he does have a time penalty. Reese Fisher also strategizing his way to the front end of the order. And if we want to talk about Reese Fisher's starting position, he started P11 and fought his way up 6 places to get to this very point. Al Karudin, though, will be looking to try and close that gap and bring himself to within a window where that time penalty is null and void. But remember, Al Karudin boxing very early, you'd fathom, on those medium tyres, but he forced and triggered a stop from Campbell Adams as well as Jack Humphreys further back as well. It'll be interesting to see how those medium tyres behave in the very latter stint, because we saw how they fell off in the opening stint at the very beginning of this race, Nathan. They fell off dramatically.
Yeah, definitely. So it will be interesting to see what Al Cruden and Campbell Adams can do here to just stop that, that hard drop-off. If they can maybe be a little bit more lenient on the tyres, as we do see Reese Fisher make a move ahead of Yusuf Goat, Riley McKay jump up ahead of Gregory Pushbill, as well as we do see Campbell Adams ahead of Al Karudin heading down towards turn 1. That gap has come down tremendously now. 3.4 seconds, 3.3 seconds as they head their way down to turn 4. Give it 2 or 3 laps here, and Campbell Adams will be right in the rear of Yusuf Goat, I reckon.
Yeah, well, we've had a retirement already. AMS Chequered, who's had a very checkered race so far, alluded to it earlier on. Unfortunately, it has not gone to plan. No concerns of a safety car. He comes into the pits and retires from the race after a very early stop. Remember, did 4 laps in the initial on those medium tyres, then swapped out for the hards that he did 18 laps on. But now he said enough is enough and will bring an end to his race here at Mexico. So we're down to 17 here now in this race in the OFI. What's the update, Nathan?
Riley McKay's been given a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit violations. Now that is really big for the top 3 battle.
It certainly is, and we saw something similar to this not too long ago. In fact, I think it was Riley McKay last time out who incidentally got handed a 3-second time penalty, and it allowed, at that moment in time, Campbell Adams to move on to the podium. Pushbill now takes the lead of the race. So once again, track limits, the undoing of Riley McKay here in the OFI. So that brings an end to potentially his podium battle, because he's going to have all those on the mediums that are going to close. Of course, Campbell Adams has got to get past the likes of Yusuf Goat and Reese Fisher, but he's only 1.7 seconds away from Yusuf Goat. And bear in mind, the top 3 all have time penalties as well. Or top 2 even.
Yeah,
should I say the 2 in front of him? I'll enter count
definitely. So it's going to be... but... yeah, I think either way, Campbell Adams will get through on Reese Fisher and Yusuf Goat, because he has got a lot more paces on newer tyres, on a softer compounded tyre as well, and could be possibly within a second by the time they exit the stadium section and head down towards turn 1. The gap at the moment, 1.2 seconds. So they enter stadium section now. It comes down to 1.3, 1.2 again, 1.1 nearly. So maybe not this time around, but possibly next lap, Campbell Adams will have a shot of DRS down towards that first corner, and then down towards turn 4 as well in that double detection.
Purple in the second sector for Jack Humphreys as well, so he's finding the pace in his medium compound tyre. Here comes Riley McKay to take the race lead. Obviously, remember though, does have a time penalty against his name, so that will go against him come the end of the race. We've got movements further back as well between Yusuf Goat and Reese Fisher. Jack Humphreys brushing past Campbell Adams in this instance, but remember, these two are going to have to try and work together in order to bring that delta deficit down. Really impressed with Jack Humphreys here tonight. Bear in mind, he's very unpracticed around this Mexico City circuit here in the build-up to this very event. Actually said to, of course, our Lord and Master, Lord and Saviour, Slammer, mentioned to him that he will do this race, but he comes into it very unpracticed. Well, you wouldn't know it, would you? He's currently sat 6th place in this timing tower and leading those on the medium tyres.
And you'd think, well, what if he did practice? How far would he be in that case? You know, he could have been one of those contending for a win or a podium. As now, we do see Jack Humphries closing in on the back of Reese Fisher, looking to make a bit of a dummy send into turn 12. Can't make the move. We'll have to look to the outside of getting towards the stadium section, and Reese Fisher is going to defend this move for the life of him as they head their way into the peloton. A big snap there from Reese Fisher, and Jack Humphries now just has to go for it. Down to turn 1, hasn't got that much battery to use, but has that DRS.
He does have the DRS, but just look at the burst that Reese Fisher managed to get, and Jack Humphries is unfortunately going to lose out to Campbell Adams here as well. Once again, though, these two, Reese Fisher and Yusuf Goat, going to go side by side into turn 1. That's the last thing these two in behind want to see, because that means basically a huge wall has been placed in amongst it, but Campbell Adams is going to try and breach it as he now looks to brush past and make his way through. He's going to have a nice little bit of overspeed and challenge those further up. Yusuf Goat has dropped back and lost places. Al Karudin moves up to 7th, Jack Humphries 6th, Campbell Adams now on the tail of Reese Fisher. So now this race is going to start hotting up with Campbell Adams and Jack Humphries, and Al Karudin's only mission to close up to that top 3. They can utilise this softer grip, the softer rubber on these medium tyres to get that sticky surface into a position where they can start generating some serious delta. It's Prisball, McKay, King, your top 3. Obviously, remember, McKay does have a time penalty.
Yep, not going to go very ideal here for McKay at all, and could possibly drop outside the top 3. Well, definitely at the top 3, but possibly at the top 5, and drop down towards P6 and below. As we head our way back down to turn 1 here, Campbell Adams looking to make a move and jump up into P4. Riley McKay takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Campbell jumps into P4. I'm sure Jack Humphries will follow suit as well and get past Reese Fisher. And Al Karudi not quite close enough, but could have it as they head their way down to turn 4. And the gap's 4.1 seconds between our hard runners and our medium runners here. There's, 9 laps to go in this Grand Prix. It's going to be a very, very close finish here of seeing if those medium tyres can catch up and then look to make those moves, because by then they're really going to be struggling.
Yeah, but we all know how good the hard tyre is as a race tyre, and it could yet prove to be the undoing of those in behind, especially as the Veloce Academy trio start working together and giving each other DRS. It's going to essentially protect them from all those in Ps4 downwards. Obviously not ideal, especially considering they're all 3 in different manufacturers, different teams as well, but yet still continue to work together to separate themselves away from those further back. Campbell Adams, who's done his utmost to try and stop the status quo from happening in prior rounds, looks like he's going to be left wanting once more, but he's 3.8 away from the trio as it stands. We just saw him exiting out to the final corner and heading down the long straight, but just look at this overspeed now being picked up here. Gregory Prisball moving around the outside, Oscar King following him through. Riley McKay drops down to 3rd. Obviously, Riley McKay is going to have his own issues because he does have that time penalty, but should the gap remain as it is, he won't lose anything, really. He'll still grab a podium.
Yep, and the unfortunate part is these guys here, P4 downwards, aren't really catching up. You know, in the past 2 laps, they've gained down half a second, and that gap's going to keep, decreasing more and more in sense of how much they're gaining, because these tyres are going to get worse. So it's not looking that good here for Jack Humphries and Campbell Adams in terms of catching up to that top 3, but they could possibly get within 3 seconds of Riley McKay and get a penalty, get in because of that penalty. But it's going to be a very close one indeed, as we've got 8 laps to go here in this Grand Prix, and still our 2 championship protagonists sit 1st and 2nd, and Gregory looking to extend that gap by another 8 points here.
Yeah, well, the trio out in front on lap 28 will soon make it lap 29, and it's Gregory Prisball on 14-lap all hard tyres. They'll soon become 15-lap all hard tyres, and down into turn 1 they will go once more. Approximately 7 laps remain now, this time including this one. Oscar King now around the outside takes the lead of the race, with Prisball now down in 2nd. Campbell Adams in 5th, swapping out with Jack Humphries once more. They're working together to try and bring down the delta. But it's one thing to close, Nathan. Obviously, that's going to be a task in itself. But then to have the rubber available, the rubber spare on your compounded tyre to challenge those in the front three. And we all saw how vigorously the mediums dropped off towards the end of the first stint at the start of the race.
I mean, the top three as well will work hard. You know, they're all in the same team, VA. They're all going to defend very hard to keep themselves in that top three. So it's going to be hard either way for Campbell Adams to make a move. He could be on brand new mediums and still would have a struggle getting past the three Veloce Academies who can kind of block the road, you know, go 2 by 2 and stop Campbell Adams from making those moves and jumping up into the top three. You can see on this lap they haven't actually gained anything. The gap 3.5. It was 3.5 last time around as they head their way into the stadium section once again. And of course Al Cruden as well in the top 6 looking to close up and might also fancy a bit of a battle here and getting past Jack Humphries and Campbell Adams, who, you know, Al Cruden's had a really good race here, looking to fight with some of the top guys here in the league racing world. Could still come home with the top 4 here.
Yeah, well, there we have it. We saw similar scenes back at Monza as well, which led to Oscar King's victory last time out. And, of course, that was an occasion as well. I believe Riley McKay also got a penalty back then too, which saw Campbell Adams move into the top 3. But they now hustle down the straight and then down in towards the lefts and rights once more. It is Prisbill, McKay, King, with Humphries, Campbell, Adams and Al Cruden down into 6th place as well. There's a gap then. A small gap with Reese Fisher in 7th between he and Ryan Hunter. They're both on the hard tyres as well, very much like those in the top 3. As Gregory Prisbill flies through the S's section before then reaching Rector Delavallo, heading in towards turn 12 in the Scuderia Ferrari. Very soon that will begin. Lap 31 of 36. Heading down in towards turn 13 once more. Once again, they'll reach the heavy braking zone at turn 13 and then whip round 14 and 15. And then round the Peraltada to begin lap 31 of 36. And surely they will look to bring a close to this race. Jack Humphries doing a great job with Campbell Adams to try and bring this delta down. It's gone as far low as 3 seconds, but you can't help but feel that that's about as far as it will go. You can see them in the distance there. Riley McKay taking the race lead. But once again, surely he will not keep it. Well, at the very best of it, he will be P3 at this stage. But you never know. Campbell Adams can break to within 3 seconds. It could be another Campbell Adams P3 performance with the championship very much centred around Oscar King and Gregory Prisbill. The big question is, though, who will become a 3-time race winner of this OFI round? Go 3 times a race winner in this series as a whole.
It's going to be a close one. I mean, the worst part for Riley McKay is he's got 2 cars behind who are fighting for a championship. He's going to get involved either way. Obviously, yeah, he dropped down because of the penalty, but he's still going to get involved in their little battle. So he wants to kind of, you know, fight, but not get too aggressive here. You know, he doesn't want to get an angry Oscar King or an angry Gregory Prisbill after him after this race. So he's going to have to be careful what he does. As, of course, that gap now is 3.1 seconds. I can't see it going much lower than that here in this Grand Prix. And, you know, even though Riley McKay's got a penalty, the gap back to Campbell Adams is 4 seconds. So, you know, there's no chance really of Campbell getting a podium here and jumping ahead of Riley because that gap is just too big at the moment. As we head our way back down to turn 1, Oscar King goes ahead of Riley. Gregory will follow suit and goes up into 2nd place. And yet again, our top 2 in the championship sit 1st and 2nd. And look to the back there, Jack Humphries making a move ahead of Campbell Adams, and Al Cruden just sitting back and can't really find a move through, but knows he's got the pace to make it.
Yeah, Yusuf Goat moving ahead of Ryan Hunter as well in the top 10. Remember, points available across the top 10 as well. So points do mean prizes. Don't forget, everybody. And at the end of the day, remember, you can, of course, get involved in a prize yourself. Remember, we've got the Next Level Racing competition still in full swing. It's set to be announced in the final round after we conclude racing. Obviously, a rig up for grabs. If you want to get involved and obviously be with a chance of winning a Next Level Racing seat, of course, use hashtag NXTLVL to get involved. Remember, 1 entry per round to be in with a chance of winning the NLR FGT giveaway. So be sure to get involved and also put yourself within proximity of winning that fantastic prize. Oscar King round in the final corner again. Lap 33 begins. We've got just over 3 laps of magic still left to go. It's between the top 3 in Veloce Academy. Oscar King, Gregory Prisbill and Riley McKay. currently in full control of this race. Gregory Prisball around the outside takes the race lead. Further back, Jack Humphreys, Al-Karudin also coming into this as well. Al-Karudin driving almost a vintage race, going back to the years before, where of course I've commentated on him in the OFI in the past. Great to see him back in full swing. His best result to date, P3 back at Jeddah in round 2 of this series. But this time it looks like P4 might be the best, though if he can stay within 3 seconds, he might match his best result of the season.
He certainly could. As of course, you know, it's like 3 little battles here for a win. We've got a P1, 2 and 3 battle, then a battle for P4, P5 and P6. So 2 little sets of 3 here, looking to battle it out. 1 for podiums and 1 for just outside of podiums, the best of the rest, as we could say, as we look to enter lap 34 or 36. And I'm not sure, George, if your mic cut out again because you was talking, then all of a sudden you stopped speaking.
It's the wonders of Discord, my friend, as we now watch them head through the final sector here this time. Lap 33 of 36 coming into the closing stages, everybody. Gregory Prisball out in front, albeit for now. He's got Oscar King just in behind. I want to talk about the journey that these two have taken through the course of this championship. Of course, Gregory Prisball taking the first 2 wins of the season. It was then followed by Oscar King taking the next 2 after that. And now they will battle to decide who will be the first to take their 3rd. Riley McKay certainly will not be winning today, despite being part of this top 3. The time penalty, unfortunately, the crux of the issue, an issue that he has faced in the past as well. Campbell Adams now up into 4th place ahead of Al-Karudin. Jack Humphreys further down in 6th as well, as we now watch them head through the hairpin bend at turn 6 to then run down towards the S's section, where they'll meet the first DRS detection point once more, and then down with DRS in towards turn 12 as well, where they'll reach Rector Della Valle. But a great effort from all those concerned here on the penultimate round of this championship. We'll look to crown yet another champion. And right now it looks like it's between Oscar King and Gregory Prisball with 1 round to go at Vegas, where we'll roll the dice after this later this week.
Indeed, and we look to begin the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. The gap between Oscar and Riley, 7/10 of a second, nearly 8/10 of a second now, as they all head their way down to turn 1. And of course, if Oscar King wins the race and Gregory finishes 2nd, which is looking likely, that means that the gap in the championship will be 2 points here. So it's going to be very close heading into Las Vegas as we head our way down to turn 1. Riley McKay takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Jack Humphreys gets ahead of Al-Karudin and jumps up into P5, and that gap now 3.8 seconds. So those mediums have definitely hit a drop-off point, and then they're looking to keep dropping back and going to fall further into Reese Fisher's hands here. He's jumped back up into that little train.
Yeah, certainly has done. Penultimate lap of the race now in full swing. Riley McKay leads the way as they now head down into the S's. Oscar King just ahead by a very fine margin ahead of Veloce Academy teammate Gregory Prisball as they now head down through the final sector. They've got a right-hander to come, heading through towards turn 12, where they'll meet the Rector Della Valle once more, and then Forest Sol, before then taking the Peraltada to bring an end to the penultimate lap to begin then the final lap. Campbell Adams, 3.9 now. Those medium tyres starting to drop away. The plan certainly not working to try and close to the back of the Veloce Academy trio. So Campbell Adams, it doesn't look like on the face of it that he's going to manage to clinch another podium finish, as we now watch a battle now ongoing between the top 2. Oscar King, in this case, will look to take the lead. Gregory Prisball as well coming back at them as they go side by side coming through turn 1. No opportunity for Prisball, just did not have enough of his Ferrari alongside. So Oscar King in the Red Bull leads the way as they run down the DRS straight through towards turn 4.
Yep, I don't think there's anything here that Gregory can really do to get ahead of Oscar, unless Oscar King makes a big mistake heading through this middle and final sector, as we do have an incident further back. Who's that? I think that's Reese Fisher. Must have came into contact there, I think, with Campbell Adams, because Campbell Adams has also dropped further behind the back of Al-Karudin here as they head their way through into turn 7. But still, Gregory's going to close in on Oscar King here. Georgie could look to make a last lap move as they head into turn 12.
Yeah, the power of DRS will open up here for Gregory Prisball. He's going to try and challenge Oscar King here. Both of these fighting for their third win here in the OFI this season. And into the braking zone, Gregory Prisbell tried it as they venture through the final corner at the Peraltada. It's King who reigns here in the OFI. 3 wins this season, 3 back-to-back, Zandvoort, Monza, Mexico. And that leaves Vegas to come. The gap now is slender. 2 points now heading into the final lap, or should I say the final round of this season's championship. What a performance. It's Gregory Prisbell in second place, and Riley McKay, despite the time penalty, will hold third.
Yeah, a really good ending there, and Gregory tried it. You know, he went for a couple of last lap dives, but couldn't make that work, and will finish in second place. And of course, a 2-point gap going into the final round, and if things continue, Oscar King will look to become champion because he's took back-to-back victories in the past 3 races. Gregory Prisbell hasn't won since round 2, so it's going to be a very, very interesting affair race in Las Vegas. And of course, a big shame there for Campbell Adams as well, who started on pole, went for a different strategy to our now top 3, and of course had contact with Reese Fisher on the final lap.
Yeah, well, there we have it. Fastest lap, of course, going to P6. In the end of that would have been Campbell Adams, I believe, who managed to clinch that. So he will, of course, take that home. He managed to put together a 1:14.814, which allowed him to take that. But amazing, amazing performance, obviously, for Oscar King again. That's a trio of victories in the space of 3 races. And that will lead to a final crescendo in 2 days' time, where, of course, he and Prisbell will meet once more, no doubt. As I said, the gap now down to 2 points. It certainly is this time. 103 points now for Gregory Prisbell, 101 for Oscar King. And after the time penalty, Riley McKay managing to keep those behind at bay. Obviously enough beyond 3 seconds. He's managed to clinch yet another 15 points this time. But the gap far too assailable. It's 32 points between Riley McKay and Oscar King in the championship, which leaves us basically with 2 contenders for the title as we head to Vegas. So there we have it. Let's take you through the results. Oscar King, your victor. Gregory Prisbell in second. Riley McKay in third place. Jack Humphreys, a fantastic result considering that he was very unpracticed for this Mexico round. Al Karudin also fantastic performance in 5th. Campbell Adams in 6th. Reese Fisher in 7th. Ryan Hunter in 8th. Yusuf Goat in 9th. Potato finishing in 10th place. Big Man Rai finishes down in 11th place. And unfortunately, I believe we've lost the network online services. So there we have it. I think maintenance has just started, believe it or not. So there we have it. What timing. I'm not going to get to see the rest of the results, unfortunately, folks. But there we have it. Brilliant. You couldn't get it timed much better than that. But
perfect.
What can we say? Massive, massive well done, obviously, to Oscar King. That's 3 in a row that he's managed to obtain. 1 pole position as well, and amongst those 3 as well, Nathan. On the back of that too, on the face of it, we've got to give credit to Gregory Prisbell. He still maintains his 100% podium record.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really good championship here so far by Gregory and Oscar, both for different reasons. Of course, Oscar taking 4 victories now, and Gregory taking podiums in every round so far. So it's been a good job by both of those 2, and it's going to be a really heated battle in Las Vegas. The 2 Veloci Academy teammates come to battle for the OFI championship here. I believe, what is it, season 6 now of this championship? It's been it's been going for a long, long time, and these 2 are going to look to try and take that championship.
Well, it's going to go all the way, certainly to the final round, which is fantastic, which is what we want at the end of the day. And we're going to be heading to Las Vegas. We're going to roll the dice, folks, on the final round of the season. So the big question is, who is going to take it? Will it be Oscar King? Will it be Gregory Prisbell? It's down to 2, basically, at this stage now, with the point swing the way it is. And but, I've got to give credit to some performances out there. We've of course, saw a great Jack Humphreys performance on his return. He was not confident heading into tonight, just on the basis that he has not practiced at all in recent times. Yeah. And it's been a long time since we've seen a season's best from Jack Humphreys. Years prior, you would have made him a favourite for this championship. I remember when he was a driver for my Intrepid esports team, and he was fantastic, a brilliant servant. We had some great results and beat many of the top teams that you see nowadays in the world of F1 sim racing. But this time, it's Veloci Academy who own the top 3 currently in terms of the race result, it's Oscar King, your race winner, making it 3 in a row. We will, of course, be hearing from the drivers very shortly in the interview room, I am sure. Just taking a look across now. We do, of course, have them standing by. First and foremost, we'll speak to Riley McKay, who's joining us now in the commentary box after finishing third, managing to just squeeze enough time in to avoid that time penalty becoming an issue. Riley, congratulations.
Thank you, Matt.
Can you give us your thoughts on the race? Obviously, Veloce Academy, it was pretty much a seamless job, obviously, between you three representing the Veloce family. I mean, how are you feeling? You're obviously thrilled.
Yeah, well, the race was pretty chaotic at the start. I know that I hooked Gregory's tire, and then it was sort of all going down. And after that, it was sort of like we need to, of me personally, need to undercut and sort of get back to the front of that train. And then we all did. I think Reese followed us, everyone in as well. On that undercut period, we came across a few lap cars as well, lost us a few seconds, which wasn't ideal. And then I got that penalty, which was pretty clumsy. Not quite as clumsy as last time, but yeah, I mean,
is that
just a bit of a...
Is that a worry for you at all, Riley, that these penalties are sort of seeping in at very important stages of the race? Because, you know, that could have been the difference between you finishing on the podium and not today.
Yeah, you're right, and it's something I need to work on. Because, I mean, it's at top level when it matters as well. Those things are critical, because, you know, in F2 and F1 PSGO, you know, that penalty is you from P1, you know, down to P13, right? So those are things I need to fix for the future. Bit of under prepped as well. I hadn't played the game for a bit, having a bit of a break as well. Also got a load cell, which was quite difficult to get used to. But we got there in the end.
Yeah, well, no, it's a fantastic effort. Still, nonetheless, we've got one round to go. Whilst obviously the championship is probably too far out of reach, we look forward to seeing you back at Vegas.
Thanks, George.
Nice one. Riley McKay, everybody. We will, of course, have now Gregory Prisbill joining us as well in the commentary box after finishing second. He tried to tussle with Oscar King on the final lap, but it was second place for the second of 3 Veloce Academy drivers we're going to be interviewing here tonight. Gregory, great effort on your part. Of course, you couldn't make it 3 wins this season, but you have stretched your podiums record. You're the only driver this season to have a clean sweep of podiums through the course of the OFI Season 6, or, you know, shall I say, the 6th event we've been running here as part of the OFI. You must be thrilled.
Well, not really. I mean, I saw the race again. Yeah, I think I had the pace the whole race, but just couldn't convert in the end, which, I mean, it's not good enough. So we head into the final round now. Could have won it, or not could have won it, but at least could have extended my advantage today. But yeah, I just made mistakes again.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, qualifying is of high importance. We very nearly saw Campbell Adams taking pole position. Of course, not forgetting, though, he had the 2-place grid penalty that forced him backwards. It placed things very much into the hands of you and your fellow Veloce Academy counterparts. Coming into that latter stage, though, you tried fighting with Oscar King in the dire stages. It now means that championship-wise, there's only 2 points between you heading into the final round at Vegas. How are you feeling? You know, essentially, it's down to you and King for the jackpot.
Yeah, I mean, we were always going to fight at the end. I mean, like, just Drivers' Championship, you know. And, yeah, I mean, again, I just sold. I keep selling in OFI, so got to fix that for Thursday.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to seeing whether it does get fixed, obviously, for the final event. But congratulations on the P2, Gregory, and we'll see you next time at Vegas.
Yep.
Nice one. So that's Gregory Prisbill, everybody. We've got one last driver here to interview, and it is, of course, our race winner. Oscar King joins us here in the commentary box. One of 3 Veloce Academy drivers that have now made it a 1, 2, and 3 in this event this time, and he's also made it 3 in a row in our last 3 races as well in the OFI. Oscar, many congratulations. Well done. Obviously, you came to blows with your fellow teammates in Veloce Academy, but still, nonetheless, you came out on top and now have put yourself within 2 points of fellow Veloce Academy driver Gregory Prisbill. You must be thrilled.
Yeah, no, it was pretty mad race. I did not drive very well. I had to manage a bit of wing damage that I got early on. So yeah, it was crazy, and honestly, like I don't deserve to win that race. I've not driven better. It's just the game being crap, to be honest. Like I just sit behind so tires, just naturally, and like yeah, it just is a bit of luck, and yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really to say. It's great that got in the championship hunt come the last round, but yeah, it's just a joke, really.
Well, it means that we're now down to 2 drivers in a position to win this title. Obviously, it's between you and Gregory Prisball at this stage when we head to Las Vegas. What are your thoughts heading into that final round? It's a very different circuit to this, more flowing. Obviously, you're very rarely on the brakes, really, apart from the main heavy braking zones that do occur at either side of the track. But I mean, it's tough. I mean, Vegas does open doors. I say that there's not really many heavy braking zones, bar actually the first chicane really, and a sprinkling of others. But yeah, it's still a fast and furious circuit. You have to manage your race. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would expect much of the same. A little bit kind of a less skill gap, just because the DRS, like the gaps between the DRS zones are a bit less than Mexico. So I'd expect the train to stay a little bit more together. But yeah, it's just going to be like management, the same thing, just managing your place in the train, picking when you box, to stay in the DRS, and yeah, we'll get to the last lap, and we'll see what happens once again, I think.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing how it unfolds. 2 points between you and your Veloce Academy teammate. We're looking forward to seeing which of you comes out on top. But in the meantime, congratulations. Win number 3 in a row, and we'll see you at Vegas.
Thanks, George. Thanks for coming, Nathan.
No worries. That's
Thank
Oscar
you.
King, everybody.
Bye.
Great to have him with us, obviously talking about his race victory. And that, without any further ado, brings an end to our festivities here in this exceptional, what has been a truly close fight between 3 drivers at the very top of the order at Mexico City. It leaves us with one final round, Nathan. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be thinking the same thing. Veloce Academy are currently in control. It's been the case now for the last few rounds. We've seen it. Obviously, credit to Campbell Adams and all that for trying to almost stoke the flames of an outsider coming in to take it away. But we also saw it from Jack Humphreys as well. It's still very tight between them. We've got 2 drivers fighting for the title. Just give us your thoughts after what we've seen.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting one, 2 teammates, 2 very good friends are going to fight for a championship at one of the most chaotic tracks on the calendar, Las Vegas. It's one of those wherever whenever you go there, there's always going to be chaos. The best drivers in the world or the worst drivers in the world, there's always going to be chaos. So it's going to be a really interesting event. I mean, yet again, we could see lots of Campbell Adams, Riley McKay jump in, get involved as well, which could really disrupt that battle for the championship. And I mean, even though obviously Oscar King has had a P5, the rest have been podiums, Gregory's always been in the top 3. There's no reason why this race, one of them might drop outside the top 3, or maybe both of them will. They battle hard. You can get into contact, you can get penalties, you can get, damage. That could also be a factor to consider going through into Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at how the future lines up, because of course it won't be Nathan joining me in the commentary box for this final event, but we just signed off here at Mexico. We've been to Bahrain, we've been to Saudi Arabia. That was where Gregory Prisball launched himself into the winner's circle on 2 occasions in the first 2 rounds. Oscar King then made it to himself as well after victories at round 3 at Netherlands and Italy at Monza for round 4. And he's just won tonight as well, making it 3 in a row here at Mexico City. And now there's one final frontier left, and that is a trip to Las Vegas, where 2 points is all that separates Gregory Prisball at the top of the standings with Oscar King on 101, room 101, to begin our final round at Vegas in the Strip. It's going to be very, very tight. Never before a tighter championship between 2 drivers. Obviously a shame that we haven't got more drivers in the midst of the fight, but obviously the gap now far too unassailable, and to be honest, a few drivers needed a few things to go wrong for those at the highest end of the order. Where do you see it going, Nathan?
Oh, it's going to be hard. I mean, I don't want to say who, but I don't know. You never know, do you? It's 2 points between the 2 of them. But I feel like Oscar's just got that bit of an edge because he's won the past 3. He's you know, he's got that points advantage. So I think I've got to go with Oscar here.
Well, there we go. He has spoken. Nathan Richards is going with Oscar King. And I must say the momentum is certainly in his favour. The big question, can he make it 4 for 4? We will, of course, find out very soon. Now, folks, if you want to get involved and win something yourself as well, you can. Don't forget, we have, obviously, a competition running. Get involved where you could win a Next Level Racing seat. Don't forget to use hashtag NXTLVL in the live chat now if you haven't done so already to put yourself in with a chance of winning a fantastic prize from Next Level Racing. Of course, remember you can do it once per round. So we've just had our 5th round, the 6th one due to come up in 2 days' time. So that's 6 entries in total. You can enter yourself once per stream and it's use the code hashtag NXTLVL. Put it in the chat and your entry is recorded and we will of course announce the winner after the race coming up now very, very soon on the 12th. So do not miss out. You do not want to miss out on a fantastic prize like that. But in the meantime, obviously get those entries in. If you want to check out the socials as well, you certainly can. First and foremost, the Oceania F1 Invitational socials. Check them out on Twitter and be sure to stay up to date with all the action that occurs as well here on this channel. Leave a follow if you want to stay updated as to all the action here on Twitch, where of course you'll see the broadcast happen, where we will see the grand final at Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the commentary as well, check me out, why not, at George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, and also Blue Sky. I'm available on that as well. You can join me on that. Nathan, where can they find you, sir?
Unfortunately, all different names everywhere. So, Rich F1, I replaced with ones over on Twitter. You can find me at Nathan Richards 1, I think, on TikTok. And then, of course, Instagram, Nathan Richards 33.
There we have it. That's where you can find him, folks. But it's been a privilege. Nathan, I just want to thank you as well. Obviously, this is your one and only appearance we're going to have from you in this championship this week. But it's great to have you here as well. Everyone give your appreciation for Nathan in the chat as well. We will, of course, be bringing you live action. Be sure to join us same time, same place in only a matter of 2 days' time. It's going to be special. Championship fight. It's between two, Gregory Prisbill and Oscar King. But will the King reign supreme? We'll find out very soon. In the meantime, though, folks, goodbye.